کہ جو وزراء ہیں پاکستان تحریک انصاف کی جو ٹاپ لیڈرشپ ہے وہ یہ کہتی ہے کیونکہ وزیر اعظم عمران خان نے جس انداز میں امریکہ کو ایبسولوٹلی ناٹ کہا ہے اس کا بھی ایک جو ہے وہ ری ایکشن جو ہے ویسٹ کی طرف سے آ بھی رہا ہے اور
یہ بھی سوالات ہیں کہ پاکستان اس چیز کے لیے تیار تھا، ایبسولوٹلی ڈاٹ کو لے کر بہت پذیرائی ہوئی، پاکستانی عوام نے اس کو خوب پذیرائی دی، لیکن پھر بھی یہ سوال وہاں پر ایگزسٹ کر رہا تھا کہ پاکستان اس چیز کے لیے تیار تھا، کہ پاکستان اس کے ری ایکشن کے لیے تیار ہوگا؟
جی ری ایکشن کے لیے پاکستان دیکھیں امریکہ کے ساتھ پاکستان کے تعلقات درینہ تعلقات ہیں، چاہے آپ اس کو کہیں کہ وہ ٹرانزیکشنل ریلیشن شپ ہے، لیکن پاکستان نے اقوام متحدہ کی قرارداد کے تحت دہشت گردی کے خلاف جنگ میں امریکہ کی مدد بھی کی، اور یہ ہم نے اپنی مدد خود بھی کی کہ دہشت گردی خالی امریکہ کا نہیں، ہمارا بھی یہ ایک مسئلہ ہے، لیکن ایک بات امریکہ پاکستان کا ایک سب سے بڑا میں کہوں گا ٹریڈنگ پارٹنر ہے جس میں بیلنس آف پیمنٹ. ناظرین اس سے پہلے مزید بات کریں آپ دیکھ سکتے ہیں اپنی سکرینز پہ وزیر اعظم عمران خان قومی اسمبلی کے ایوان میں تشریف لا چکے ہیں، اور یہ اس اناگورل سیشن میں وزیر اعظم کی آمد کے بعد اس کا باقاعدہ آغاز ہو جائے گا. آج کے وزیر اعظم صاحب اور دیگر مہمان جو ہیں اس وقت موجود ہیں، اور اب سے تھوڑی دیری میں اس کا آغاز جو ہے باقاعدہ طور پر.
May I all request you all to please rise up for the national anthem. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will now hear the recitation from the Holy Quran. I will invite Qari Hafiz Naseem Khalil to the rostrum.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. We will now see a short video of the OIC journey through the decades.
OIC has played a key role in providing humanitarian assistance across the Muslim world through its subsidiary bodies. As recently as December 2021, an extraordinary session was convened of OIC Council of Foreign Ministers to address deteriorating humanitarian situation in Afghanistan. OIC has unlocked an enabling environment for the economic development of all member states through an institutional infrastructure that allows us to forge robust commercial ties. To reiterate Pakistan's commitment towards technology and modernity, the Secretariat for Comstech of the OIC is situated here in Pakistan. The OIC adopted a 10-year action plan to combat Islamophobia and extremism in 2005. It established the Islamophobia Observatory to monitor and address global anti-Muslim sentiments. At the 47th session of OIC Council of Foreign Ministers in Niger in 2020, March 15th was unanimously adopted as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia through a resolution tabled by Pakistan. Pakistan led the OIC initiative to secure adoption of a landmark resolution by the United Nations General Assembly to designate 15th March as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia. This resolution was adopted with the unanimous approval of UNGA on 15th March 2022. Being a strong proponent of human rights, the OIC established the Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission, IPHRC. Its goal is to counter Islamophobia and draw global attention to the rights of Muslim minorities. The human rights situation in Palestine is one of its serious concerns. The 8th OIC Ministerial Conference on Women adopted an important resolution on the protection and empowerment of women. Pakistan is one of the founding members of the OIC and has played an active role in the organization since its inception. Pakistan has a proud history of hosting major OIC events, including summits and Council of Foreign Ministers (CFM) meetings. Pakistan's primary focus is on unity, brotherhood, and prosperity of the Muslim Ummah. Pakistan is proud to host the 48th session of the OIC CFM in partnering for unity, justice, and development. We welcome you all to Pakistan. Allahu Akbar.
Excellencies, I will now invite His Excellency Hasumi Masudo, Chair of the 47th session of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers, to commence the formal proceedings of the session.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Que la paix et la bénédiction d'Allah soient sur les plus nobles de tous les messagers, le prophète Mohammed, ainsi que sa famille et ses honorables compagnons. Excellences, honorables participants, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Avec l'aide d'Allah, nous déclarons ouverte la 48e session du Conseil des ministres des Affaires étrangères de l'Organisation de la coopération islamique. Qu'il me soit ici permis, Excellences, de faire une brève intervention à partir du podium.
To take the floor from the podium for a brief intervention. Name of God, merciful, most
Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les
ladies and gentlemen, the ministers,
Mesdames et Messieurs,
honorable ladies and gentlemen,
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Permettez-moi d'adresser notre sincère gratitude aux serviteurs des deux saintes mosquées, le roi Salman Abdelaziz bin Saoud, pour son appui constant à notre organisation et à l'égard de toutes les bonnes volontés qui nous ont aidés à matérialiser certaines actions pendant nos 2 années de présidence et qui continuent à œuvrer pour le rayonnement de notre Ummah. Nos félicitations vont à l'endroit de son Excellence M. Shah Mahmoud Qureshi, ministre des Affaires étrangères du Pakistan, président de la 48e session du Conseil des ministres des Affaires étrangères, et pour les bonnes dispositions prises pour la réussite de cette session. Je voudrais également adresser mes sincères félicitations à son Excellence Hussein Ibrahim Taha pour son élection au poste de secrétaire général de l'OCI. Qu'Allah le Tout-Puissant vous accompagne tous les deux dans vos tâches. L'humanité a vécu l'une des crises sanitaires les plus aiguës de notre histoire et à cet effet, je voudrais remercier le secrétariat général et les pays membres qui ont pris l'initiative d'accompagner les États membres dans leur programme de lutte contre la COVID-19. C'est encore dans ce contexte que se tient notre session dont le thème est établir un partenariat pour l'unité, la justice et le développement. Peut-il avoir plus noble idéal que de bâtir un partenariat pour le développement, pour vaincre la pauvreté et garantir une stabilité dans l'Ummah? Ce thème traduit nos vœux, car il ne peut y avoir de partenariat sans la communion des esprits. Il ne peut y avoir de partenariat sans équité. Et le respect de ces deux valeurs conduit au développement. C'est pour vous dire l'intérêt que revêt pour nous le thème de la présente session.
and of this session.
Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les
ladies and
ministres,
gentlemen, the ministers,
la 47e session du Conseil des ministres qui s'est déroulée à Niamey sous la présidence du ministre des Affaires étrangères et de la coopération, M. Kalla Ankoro, a adopté des résolutions dont certaines ont été traduites par des activités au cours de 2 années de présidence. Notre présidence a évidemment été marquée par la pandémie du Covid-19. Permettez-moi cependant de partager quelques-unes avec vous. Ainsi, le Niger a tenu des séminaires sur les thématiques qui intéressent notre moment en présentiel et en visio, et présider les travaux des groupes d'experts intergouvernementaux objets de nos résolutions. En présentiel, nous avons organisé à Niamey un colloque sur les défis on the challenges facing our Ummah in the combat against extremism and fanaticism in Africa, particularly within the avec la collaboration du secrétaire
and take necessary measures for the benefit of the youth. We have also held 2 meetings, one regarding the contact group on Jammu and Kashmir, of which Niger is a member, and extended its support to the pertinent resolution of the OIC and of the Security Council of the United Nations. The second took place on the Al-Quds Sharif. I wish to underline our belonging to this committee and our consistent support to the Palestinian cause until they achieve their full fundamental rights. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, during our chairmanship, we have conducted discussions and a number of intergovernmental activities. The text adopted will be submitted for your consideration. I have in mind the procedure of the meetings of the CFMG
du projet de règles de procédure régissant la création et le fonctionnement des groupes de contact, objet de la résolution 2/47-LO. Concernant le projet de règles de procédure régissant l'accréditation des envoyés spéciaux des pays non membres de l'OCI, objet de la résolution 8/47-LE, il a été discuté, mais nécessite une analyse plus profonde et un réexamen par les experts. Certaines discussions que nous avons engagées sur les travaux des groupes d'experts n'ont pas été suivies d'effets positifs. Il y a donc besoin d'enrichissement et de consensus. Concernant la rencontre des intellectuels musulmans sur la lutte contre l'extrémisme violent, que nous avons en collaboration avec le secrétariat programmé, mais en vain, le flux de réunions au secrétariat général n'a pas permis de la tenir. Je suis d'avis que nous aurons une plage pour tenir cette importante réunion. Mesdames et messieurs, permettez-moi encore une fois de vous remercier pour le soutien que vous avez apporté pour la matérialisation de la mission régionale de l'OCI dans les pays du Sahel et du bassin du lac Tchad. Cette initiative louable permettra de prendre en compte le programme de cette partie de la Ummah. Sur un tout autre plan, je voudrais vous encourager pour les idées pertinentes développées lors de nos séances de brainstorming. Ces exercices doivent continuer pour améliorer la marche de notre organisation. Et à ce titre, nous devons penser à faciliter la participation de tous les membres au sein des groupes de contact et comités en procédant à des rotations des membres à l'image du Conseil de sécurité, et aussi mettre fin au groupe et comité que la mission est terminée. Je ne terminerai pas mes propos sans féliciter et remercier encore une fois les autorités de la République islamique sœur du Pakistan pour les efforts consentis pour la réussite de cette session. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Je vous remercie. Donc, je voudrais profiter pour proclamer la composition des membres du bureau de la 48e session du Conseil des ministres étrangères comme suit. Président, République islamique du Pakistan. Vice-président, État de Palestine, République du Cameroun et République du Yémen. Et puis rapporteur, République du Niger. Therefore, I would like to invite the Minister of the Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan to come and take the succession of our chairmanship. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Thank you, Excellency Mr. Hosseini Massoumi, Minister for Republic of Niger, for your commendable work as Chair of the 47th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers. It is my privilege, indeed, to steer the proceedings of this august gathering. I will now, as the Chair, invite I think I have to make the opening statement first. I will now, with your permission, Excellencies, make the opening statement. Honorable Prime Minister Imran Khan, Secretary General Haseen Brahim Taha, Royal Highnesses, Honorable Foreign Ministers, Excellencies, Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to the 48th session of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers, themed on unity, justice, and development. It is a matter of pride for us to host this meeting in 2022, which marks the 75th anniversary of Pakistan's independence. We commend the leadership role of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as the OIC Summit Chair. We also express profound gratitude to the OIC General Secretariat for facilitating this important meeting. Let me also express our highest appreciation to the Government of Niger for hosting the last CFM and leading the organization during the past year. Distinguished delegates, I am confident that our work during the next 2 days will be guided by the eternal Islamic values of amity and brotherhood, as embodied in the Quran and the teachings of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. The OIC is the collective voice of nearly 2 billion Muslims. It is a bridge among Muslim nations and between the Muslim world and the international community. Promoting solidarity and cooperation within the Muslim Ummah is one of the central pillars of Pakistan's foreign policy. As chair of the OIC CFM during 22-23, Pakistan's overarching goal shall be to solidify this bridging role further. Distinguished delegates, I want to take this opportunity to reflect on some of our collective recent achievements. Indeed, a consequence of our partnership for unity, justice, and development, the very theme of the OIC CFM. We met in this hall last December, uniting within an exceptionally short span of time for the extraordinary session of the CFM on Afghanistan. Together, we made some historic and concrete decisions. We agreed to establish the OIC Humanitarian Trust Fund. We appointed a special envoy of the OIC Secretary General. We launched an Afghanistan food security program. We strengthened OIC's presence in Afghanistan by reinforcing the OIC mission in Kabul. These actions that we took continue to go a long way with helping our Muslim brothers and sisters in Afghanistan in their greatest time of need. Also, you will recall, at the last OIC CFM in Niamey, we came together to call for an
International Day to Combat Islamophobia. Today, I'm proud to stand before you with the Muslim Ummah, welcoming the recent designation of 15th March as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia by the UN General Assembly. The International Day to Combat Islamophobia was designated such owing to our unity as the OIC. Pakistan is gratified to have played its role in garnering consensus on this important issue. Through the observance of this day, the OIC will enhance greater global awareness of Islamophobia and advance solutions through collective action. Further, while recounting our achievements, I also want to touch upon the tremendous work being done by our collective platforms. ComStech has been instrumental in enhancing cooperation and coordination in scientific and technological fields, including through partnerships, capacity building, and joint research programs. It is playing a leading role in the implementation of OIC Science and IT Agenda 2026. Pakistan is pleased to host the ComStech headquarters in Islamabad. Since its inception, Islamic Development Bank has to date mobilized $65 billion for investment and development assistance aid. It is one institution which has consistently been rated AAA across all international rating agencies. The Islamic Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, based in Karachi, is galvanizing investment, influencing policy, making and undertaking initiatives for development of the private sector. I mention some of these achievements to you all here today, not to blow our own trumpets, but rather for these to serve as a blueprint for constructive and tangible action and as an impetus for collective action moving forward. Distinguished delegates, we are witnessing unprecedented turbulence at the global level. Conflict in Ukraine, which has rekindled East-West tensions, threatens international peace and security. A new and destabilizing global arms race is underway. Conflicts among and within nations have proliferated. Political and military blocs are vying for more power at the cost of global equilibrium. World trade and growth are declining under the weight of technology wars. Inequality has become a defining feature of our times. The COVID-19 pandemic has increased inequalities through greater debt burdens, fiscal deficits, and liquidity crunch. Rising commodity prices will further accentuate inequalities, erode development gains, and hinder progress towards sustainable development goals. Climate change is accelerating and making parts of our Earth inhospitable and warmer than ever. The Muslim world is faced with conflicts in the Middle East, prolonged foreign occupation, and the denial of the right to self-determination, most notably to the people of Palestine and Kashmir. The Muslim world's resentment is increasing due to frequent external interventions in Muslim countries. Distinguished delegates, left unaddressed, these conflicts and disputes undermine our unity and solidarity, expose our countries to foreign interference and intervention, fuel terrorism and extremism, and deflect attention from our development goals and the welfare of our peoples. To help forge a collective response and under the theme of partnering for unity, justice, and development, I would like to focus on three specific challenges. First, partnering for unity by jointly addressing the challenges and conflicts within the Ummah. Second, uniting for justice for the rights of Muslims under occupation and conflicts with countries beyond our Ummah. This should also include the urgency of addressing the pervasive Islamophobia facing Muslims in non-Muslim majority countries. Third, partnering for development by effectively addressing the triple global crisis of COVID-19, development, and climate change. Distinguished delegates, the Holy Quran says to the believers, "Hold fast, all of you, to the cord of Allah and be not divided." In this era of global turmoil, the situation of Muslims in many parts of the world is heart-wrenching. Currently, more than 60% of all conflicts in the world exist in Muslim countries. From Yemen to Syria to the Sahel, the range of conflicts in the Muslim world and their intensity is palpable. These are festering wounds on the body politic of Islam. More than 2/3 of all refugees worldwide come from just 5 countries: Syria, Afghanistan, South Sudan, Myanmar, and Somalia. Above all, the Muslim countries are hosting the largest number of refugees. While we must work to prevent outside interference in the Muslim world, we alone can find solutions to internal fissures and challenges. The key to ending these conflicts and disputes is comprehensive engagement and cooperation among the Islamic countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the Islamic world is endowed with both natural and human resources that are unmatchable. We are home to over 1/4 of the world's entire youth. This unparalleled youth bulge is yearning for opportunities and progress. It is a harbinger of innovation, industry, and growth. Prime Minister Imran Khan has declared the year 2022 as investment in the youth. Building on this potential, it is time for the Ummah to forge a collective response to the current turmoil inside its borders and the ongoing global transition. We must be a reliable partner in forging unity, justice, and development across the globe, but not anyone's accomplice in aggression or domination. To this end, I propose convening an OIC Ministerial Conference during 22-23. This conference, among others, could assess the need for establishing a peace and security architecture akin to all other regional organizations. This conference should also discuss how the OIC can and must strengthen itself by developing and deploying tools for conflict prevention, mediation, reconciliation, and peace building. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, partnering for justice is an injunction from the Quran. Allah enjoins Muslims to be upholders of justice, witnesses for Allah. The vision behind the OIC creation was to raise the united voice of the Islamic Ummah against the injustices perpetrated against Palestinian Muslims under occupation. But even 50 years of the OIC establishment, after 50 years of the OIC establishment, we are far from seeing justice for Muslims in many parts of the world. The Muslims of Palestine and the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir are still reeling under subjugation. For the last 7 decades, they have struggled to achieve their inalienable right to self-determination. Under the relevant United Nations resolutions, a permanent solution to the Palestinian question with the pre-1967 borders and Al-Quds al-Sharif as the capital of a viable, independent, and contiguous Palestinian state is essential. Similarly, Kashmir continues to bleed. The threat of genocide is most imminent in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The RSS, BJP, Hindutva-inspired government in India has unleashed a reign of terror by an occupation force of 900,000 in IIOJK since the 5th of August 2019. Akin to the situation in Palestine, this is accompanied by illegal efforts to change the demographic structure of the occupied territory and transform it into a Muslim minority region. This is a clear violation of international law, particularly the Fourth Geneva Convention. Indian actions violate the resolutions of the UN Security Council and the OIC on Jammu and Kashmir. The illegal acts increased the threat of a conflict between India and Pakistan. Kashmiris are looking towards their Muslim brothers and sisters for support. India's violence against Muslims is not limited to IIOJK. Civil society organizations and independent observers have warned that Muslims in Hindutva-controlled India are also living under the threat of genocide. Our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said that believers are just like one body. When one of the limbs suffers, the whole body responds to it with wakefulness and fever. It is incumbent to resolve these challenges by partnering with the international community as well. Beyond adopting resolutions, we must take concrete and tangible steps towards permanent solutions. A similar resolve and unity is needed in countering the ideologies of hate, such as Islamophobia and right-wing racism. Repeated incidents of desecration of the Holy Quran and reprinting of caricatures have seriously hurt the sentiments of Muslims across the world. They also cause great anguish within the Islamic world. While we welcome the recent designation of 15th of March as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia by the UN General Assembly, we believe the appointment of the OIC Secretary General's Special Envoy on Islamophobia during this CFM would be a concrete step in coordinating such collective action. It should be our shared objective to ensure that deliberate insults and defamation of all religions, including Islam, should also be criminalized, and we must be united to achieve this. I propose that the Secretary General OIC develop a comprehensive report on the theme of partnering for justice and present recommendations to the next OIC CFM on how the OIC, through proactive and innovative diplomacy, could strengthen its role in securing justice for the long oppressed Muslims facing hateful ideologies and occupation. Distinguished delegates, to forge partnerships for development, the OIC countries must mobilize international support for a comprehensive strategy that should include: 1, vaccine equity. Everyone, everywhere must be vaccinated against COVID-19. 2, increased development financing. This can be ensured through comprehensive debt relief and restructuring, expanded ODA, redistribution of at least half of the unutilized SDRs to developing countries, and provision of the promised climate finance. 3rd, accelerated climate action. The agreement reached at Glasgow must be the baseline for future discussions. The OIC must call for additional commitments by the international community to achieve the agreed mitigation targets, support for adaptation and loss and damage in developing countries due to climate change. 4, the resolute action against illicit financial flows. Corruption and illegal transfer of assets have adversely impacted many Muslim countries, including Pakistan. The OIC countries must develop a comprehensive legal framework to halt and reverse the illicit financial flows and stop this grave economic injustice. We must call for the implementation of the recommendations of the UN Secretary General's FACTI panel. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, underdevelopment, poverty, and corruption remain serious threats to the future security and stability of our societies. In an era of economic and financial unpredictability, development partnerships among OIC member states would be of vital importance. OIC member states have tremendous natural and human resources which must be utilized effectively through trade, joint research and development projects, trainings, and investment. To promote research and technological innovation in the Muslim world, we need to synergize the Muslim scientific and intellectual pool and fully utilize the platform of COMSTEC to achieve the OIC STI Agenda 2026. We also need to take advantage of a preferential system of trading among the OIC member states. In this regard, the framework agreement needs to be ratified expeditiously by OIC. We should also come together and build convergences on removing international barriers to development. Our common ground on the need to reform the global economic architecture will strengthen the voices calling to make it equitable. Distinguished delegates, before I conclude, I would like to draw your attention to the situation in Afghanistan. While the progress we made at the extraordinary session of the CFM on Afghanistan was timely, we need to build on them. Addressing the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan and preventing a collapse of the Afghan economy must remain our top priorities. In doing so, we must encourage and support the efforts of the Afghan authorities to eliminate Daesh. Effective strategies are also needed to deal with other terrorist groups in Afghanistan like TTP, ETIM, IMU, and Al-Qaeda. We must guard against spoilers that wish to continue destabilizing Afghanistan and using its territory to promote terrorism. A peaceful, stable, inclusive, prosperous, and connected Afghanistan is in the best interests of us all. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for OIC to strengthen and equip itself to address contemporary challenges and conflicts confronting the Muslim Ummah. Pakistan stands ready to play its part as a bridge builder in promoting regional and OIC-driven solutions to these conflicts and disputes. With the hope and prayer, true OIC unity and solidarity, I thank you all. I now invite His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, Foreign Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for his speech. He will speak on behalf of the OIC Summit Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the name of Allah, the Lord of Mercy, the Giver of Mercy and Praise, His Excellency Makhdoom Shah Mahmood Qureshi, Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the Secretary General of the OIC, dear participants. I wish to express my thanks for the Islamic Republic of Pakistan for the lavish hospitality accorded to us. I wish them full success in the chairmanship of the current session. I wish to seize this opportunity to congratulate the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and its people for the 75th commemoration of the independence of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and we wish them more prosperity and success. I wish to extend my thanks to the Republic of Niger for its chairmanship of the 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers in spite of COVID-19, and I congratulate them for the achievements made by the Islamic Republic of Pakistan in adopting a day to fight against Islamophobia. There are also more efforts made to achieve greater success in the Islamic Ummah. I wish to extend my thanks to the people working in the OIC Secretariat under the leadership of the Secretary General for the sound organization of this meeting. I congratulate them on the continued effort to achieve the noble goals of this organization. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia believes in the role of the OIC in consolidating Islamic solidarity and in protecting common interests to preserve the noble, lofty values of Islam. This will lead to greater cooperation and understanding on the basis of mutual respect among all cultures and religions. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has clear values in consolidating Islamic cooperation and brotherhood among member states with a view to enforcing coordination to face the common challenges. And there was the meeting on Afghanistan in December 2020, and this was a successful meeting which led to the establishment of the Humanitarian Trust Fund under the IDB. Khatib was appointed as a representative of this fund. The Kingdom reiterates the importance of the role of Islamic countries to achieve peace and security in Afghanistan. We call for further efforts to support the Afghan people so that they can overcome the tragic situation they have at the moment. We hope that Afghanis will participate in building the future of their country through dialogue among the various components of the Afghani societies, and to avoid using Afghani land as for terrorist activities. We also call for the respect of human rights and the rights of women to work and study on the basis of our values. Dear participants, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia reaffirms the centrality of the Palestinian cause. It supports all the international efforts at reviving the peace process among the conflicting parties and the return to direct negotiations to settle all the standing issues between the two parties. We reaffirm our support to the Palestinian people in order to achieve a lasting peaceful settlement of the Palestinian cause with the establishment of an independent Palestinian state and in line with international resolutions. Ladies and gentlemen, the continued escalation by the Houthi group reflects the rejection of political settlement. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia calls for the implementation of the UN resolutions to neutralize the negative impact of Houthi groups and to stop importing arms in Yemen. This is a threat to the region. We reiterate the importance of the role of brothers to apply more pressure on the Houthis so so that they can stop jeopardizing maritime security. On the basis of reducing the suffering of the Yemeni people, we contribute to humanitarian action and we provide humanitarian support to the Yemen people. The participants, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia stands by the Muslim communities to defend their values as sustained by our region. We also provide support to the people of Jammu Kashmir. We also support the efforts made by the international community to reach a just solution to the Jammu Kashmir issue. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is making steps to achieve its ambitious vision. We hope that this will be a model for the rest of the world. I would like to seize this opportunity to extend my thanks who have accepted to support the event in our country, and this will promote our values. We reiterate our support for the efforts made by this organization. We believe that this is the second international organization. It represents the third population of the world. We hope that this meeting will lead to success and will achieve more prosperity for our people. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Brother Faisal, for your speech. I now invite the Honorable Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Countries, His Excellency Mr. Hassan Brahim Taha, for his statement.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Altesse,
Your
Excellences,
Excellencies,
Mesdames et Messieurs,
honorable ladies and gentlemen,
il m'est agréable tout d'abord d'exprimer à mon nom personnel et celui de l'Organisation de la coopération islamique mes sincères remerciements et ma gratitude au gouvernement et au peuple de la République islamique du Pakistan pour l'accueil chaleureux qui nous a été réservé et pour la sérieuse coopération de la soigneuse coordination que nous avons constatée dans la préparation de cette 48e session du Conseil des ministres des Affaires étrangères de l'OCI. Tout en félicitant la République islamique du Pakistan pour sa présidence de cette importante session, je tiens à vous témoigner ma reconnaissance pour son engagement résolu en faveur de l'Organisation de la coopération islamique et pour ses rapports précieux dans le renforcement de l'action islamique commune, ce qui ne manquera pas de garantir le succès de la présente session. C'est pour nous un réel motif de satisfaction de voir cette 48e session coïncider avec la célébration du 75e anniversaire de l'indépendance de la République islamique du Pakistan, tout en lui adressant nos meilleurs vœux. Nous partageons cette célébration et la félicitons pour les réalisations de son peuple et pour les défis remportés à la faveur d'une forte volonté et d'une détermination sans faille. Nous lui souhaitons progrès et prospérité continue. Je voudrais également saluer la République du Niger pour les efforts ô combien louables déployés tout au long de son mandat à la présidence de la 47e session du Conseil des ministres des Affaires étrangères de l'OCI, dans une conjoncture difficile marquée par la pandémie de la COVID-19, un mandat couronné d'un franc succès et qui a donné un nouvel élan à l'action islamique commune. Je ne saurais omettre en cette circonstance de rendre un vibrant hommage au Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite, pays du siège et président de la 14e conférence islamique au sommet, pour son soutien permanent aux activités de l'organisation et au travail du secrétariat général sous la généreuse sollicitude du serviteur de 200 mosquées, le roi Salman bin Abdelaziz Al Saoud, et de son Altesse royale, le prince Mohammed bin Salman, son prince héritier et vice-premier ministre, puisse Allah le préserver. Altesse, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, qu'il me soit permis de vous retirer ainsi qu'à vos gouvernements mes remerciements et ma gratitude pour le soutien que vous m'avez apporté en assumant les fonctions de secrétaire général de notre prestigieuse organisation et de vous rassurer de mon engagement résolu à œuvrer dans le respect des dispositions de la charte de notre organisation, à défendre les causes de la Oumma islamique et à me conformer aux décisions des résolutions adoptées par le sommet islamique et le Conseil des ministres des Affaires étrangères. Altesse, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, je voudrais souhaiter la bienvenue aux distingués représentants des États de l'organisation internationale et régionale, partenaires de l'Organisation de coopération islamique. Leur présence témoigne de l'intérêt qu'ils accèdent au rôle de notre organisation dans la contribution à la paix, à la sécurité et au développement dans le monde. L'OCI se félicite du dialogue et des liens de coopération qu'elle entretient avec eux. Altesse, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, notre présente session se tient sous le thème des partenariats pour l'unité, la justice et le développement. Un thème qui vient à point nommé refléter les aspirations de nos populations et leurs attentes vis-à-vis de l'Organisation de coopération islamique en cette conjoncture délicate dans laquelle la Oumma islamique se trouve confrontée à moult défis politiques, sécuritaires et de développement. Aujourd'hui, la cause palestinienne, question centrale pour l'organisation, continue de se heurter à des défis dangereux, dont tout particulièrement la persistance des politiques d'occupation israélienne fondées sur la colonisation, la judaïsation de la ville d'Al-Quds et l'agression contre les lieux sacrés, en particulier la mosquée de l'Aqsa. Outre la poursuite de meurtres, de confiscation de terres, de la démolition des maisons, des arrestations arbitraires, de la discrimination raciale, de l'apartheid et du nettoyage ethnique à l'encontre du peuple palestinien, qui constituent dans leur ensemble une violation flagrante des législations, conventions et résolutions internationales pertinentes. Aussi, la persistance de tels crimes et agressions israéliens contre le peuple palestinien, sa terre et ses lieux saints nous commande-t-elle de renforcer l'esprit de solidarité et d'action islamique commune et de redoubler davantage l'effort diplomatique auprès des instances internationales en faveur des droits du peuple palestinien et de contrer avec fermeté la responsabilité de toute tentative visant à changer le statut historique et juridique de la ville d'Al-Quds en application des résolutions pertinentes adoptées par le sommet islamique et des conseils ministériels successifs. La question du Jammu et Cachemire est une autre question juste qui attend une solution depuis longtemps et qui nous préoccupe profondément au vu des développements qu'elle connaît, particulièrement à la suite des actions illégales et unilatérales entreprises par l'Inde le 5 août 2019, visant à modifier le statut du Jammu et Cachemire occupé par l'Inde. Au mois de novembre dernier, une délégation de haut niveau du secrétariat général de l'OCI, conduite par le secrétaire général adjoint aux affaires politiques, représentant spécial pour Jammu et Cachemire, avec la participation du secrétaire général adjoint aux affaires humanitaires, culturelles et sociales, a effectué une visite officielle au Pakistan et à Azad, Jammu et Cachemire, dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre du mandat confié au secrétariat général en vertu de la résolution 1047-Paul sur les différends de Jammu et Cachemire adoptée par le Conseil des ministres des Affaires étrangères. Le rapport de cette mission est soumis à votre attention. L'OCI est ainsi appelé à redoubler d'efforts en vue de soutenir le droit des peuples du Jammu et Cachemire, y compris son droit à l'autodétermination, conformément aux résolutions du Conseil de sécurité des Nations Unies. Les développements de cette question seront examinés par le groupe de contact sur Jammu et Cachemire qui se réunira ici à Islamabad en marge de nos précédentes assises. En ce qui concerne l'Afghanistan, j'ai suivi tous les aspects liés et la mise en œuvre des résolutions issues de la 17e session ministérielle extraordinaire tenue à Islamabad le 19 décembre 2021. À cet égard, j'ai assuré avec mon envoyé spécial pour l'Afghanistan la coordination nécessaire avec la Banque islamique de développement qui a gracieusement préparé le cadre juridique et la structure du fonds fiduciaire décidé par le Conseil ministériel. Le fonds sera officiellement lancé en marge de cette réunion. D'autre part, j'ai dépêché mon envoyé spécial en Afghanistan. Il a eu des entretiens élargis avec un certain nombre de ministres du gouvernement en place à Kaboul concernant les efforts de l'organisation dans les domaines humanitaires, politiques et économiques. Je soumets à votre attention un rapport spécial sur les progrès réalisés dans la mise en œuvre de la résolution sur la situation humanitaire en Afghanistan et sur les aspects liés à cette première visite. Je continuerai donc à dialoguer avec les autorités en place en Afghanistan. Dans ces pays membres de l'organisation. Pour ce qui est de l'agression de la République de l'Arménie contre la République d'Azerbaïdjan, et bien que d'autres tripartis conclus entre l'Azerbaïdjan, l'Arménie et la Fédération de Russie le 10 novembre 2020 aient mis fin aux hostilités, la République d'Azerbaïdjan a exprimé sa préoccupation face au non-respect pour la République d'Arménie par la République d'Arménie et ses obligations telles que stipulées dans l'accord tripartite. Le secrétariat général, qui a constamment confirmé le soutien de l'organisation au règlement du conflit conformément aux décisions et résolutions du Conseil islamique, du Conseil des ministres et du Conseil de sécurité des Nations Unies, continuera de suivre cette question avec intérêt. Altesse, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, la situation au Yémen reste une source de profonde préoccupation pour notre organisation qui s'est engagée à soutenir l'unité, la souveraineté, l'indépendance et l'intégrité territoriale du Yémen, ainsi que la solution politique au conflit sur la base de trois référentiels, à savoir l'initiative du Conseil de coopération des États arabes du Golfe et ses mécanismes exécutifs, les conclusions de la conférence de dialogue national yéménite et les résolutions de la légalité internationale, en particulier la résolution 2216-2015 du Conseil de sécurité des Nations Unies. C'est dans ce même ordre d'idées que le secrétariat général de l'OCI salue l'idée que le secrétariat général de l'OCI salue l'initiative annoncée par le Conseil des ministres des États arabes du Golfe d'organiser des consultations yéméno-yéménites dans la capitale saoudienne, à Riyad, à la fin de ce mois. Initiative qui permettra de combler le fossé entre les frères yéménites et de s'engager pour arrêter l'effusion du sang, afin de parvenir à une solution politique durable mettant un terme au conflit au Yémen et asseoir la sécurité et la stabilité dans la région. Dans ce contexte, nous renouvelons l'expression de notre gratitude au Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite pour ses efforts et initiatives inlassables destinés à contribuer à accélérer la recherche d'une solution pacifique et permanente à la crise yéménite. Je tiens également à rassurer le Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite et l'État des Émirats arabes unis de la solidarité de notre organisation face aux attaques répétées et condamnables lancées par la milice Houthi contre des civils et des installations à caractère civil par des drones. Au cours de sa période écoulée, les développements en Libye, au Soudan et en Somalie ont fait l'objet d'un suivi continu par le secrétariat général, lequel a encouragé toutes les parties concernées à adopter le dialogue. Aujourd'hui, nous les encourageons à redoubler d'efforts pour surmonter les divergences et jeter les bases de l'entente, de la sécurité, de la paix et la stabilité et du développement et à faire prévaloir l'intérêt supérieur de leur peuple. En ce qui concerne la Syrie, le secrétariat général continue de soutenir les efforts des Nations Unies pour parvenir à une solution pacifique à la crise, conformément à la déclaration de Genève et aux résolutions permanentes du Conseil de sécurité. S'agissant de l'Irak, la tenue en octobre 2021 d'élections législatives anticipées représente l'un des développements positifs et encourageants que nous avons enregistrés et salués. Comme vous le savez, les défis politiques, sécuritaires, humanitaires et de développement auxquels font face les pays du Sahel central, Burkina Faso, Mali et Niger et du bassin du lac Tchad, Cameroun, Tchad, Niger et Nigeria, ainsi que la République centrafricaine, le Mozambique et la Guinée revêtent un intérêt important pour l'OCI. Nous soulignons la nécessité d'accroître les efforts pour parvenir à la paix et à la stabilité escomptée dans ces régions et appeler les États membres et les institutions de l'OCI ainsi que les partenaires internationaux à aider ces régions à relever les défis auxquels elles font face. C'est dans ce cadre, afin de donner un nouvel élan au rôle de notre organisation en Afrique, y compris dans la région du Sahel et du lac Tchad, que je me suis rendu au début du mois courant au Tchad, au Cameroun, au Niger et au Sénégal, et où j'ai pu m'entretenir avec les dirigeants de ces pays à propos de la situation dans ces régions et des voies et moyens de renforcer le soutien de l'organisation aux pays concernés. D'autre part, une délégation de haut niveau du secrétariat général, conduite par le secrétaire adjoint aux affaires politiques, Dr Aldawrat, s'est rendue à Abuja pour s'entretenir avec les responsables de la commission de la CEDEAO, des voies et moyens de renforcer la coopération et la coordination des efforts pour contribuer à la paix, à la sécurité et au développement dans la région. Le renforcement du rôle positif de notre organisation en Afrique requiert aussi la nomination d'un envoyé spécial. À cet effet, je recommande à votre auguste conseil de nommer le docteur Nassirou Bako Arifari, ancien ministre des Affaires étrangères du Bénin, comme l'envoyé spécial du secrétaire général pour l'Afrique, et j'espère qu'il bénéficiera de votre soutien. Altesse, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, la République de Bosnie vit une situation préoccupante en raison de la tendance séparatiste de certains partis de la composante serbe et de leur rejet des réformes qui requièrent l'appui de l'OCI à la République de Bosnie-Herzégovine pour l'aider à préserver son unité, son intégrité territoriale, sa souveraineté et sa stabilité et sa prospérité. Notre organisation exprime également son plein appui aux efforts en faveur d'un règlement global et juste de la question chypriote et sa solidarité avec les Chypriotes turcs musulmans, conformément aux résolutions pertinentes de l'OCI. Altesse, Excellences, Mesdames, Messieurs, le bien-être et la défense des droits des communautés et minorités musulmanes dans les États non membres, conformément aux principes et aux objectifs consignés dans la charte de l'organisation, sont également une priorité dans l'action de notre organisation. Nous comptons accroître nos efforts à cette fin, notamment à travers les visites et les dialogues avec les gouvernants des pays concernés. Dans ce contexte, nous exprimons notre profonde préoccupation face à la situation des Rohingyas et appelons la communauté internationale à agir de manière efficace et de toute urgence pour assurer les conditions propices au retour volontaire, sûr, digne et durable de tous les réfugiés et déplacés internes Rohingyas dans leur patrie d'origine. Nous nous réjouissons des progrès enregistrés dans l'affaire judiciaire déposée contre les Myanmar près la Cour internationale de justice, dont notamment la récente reprise des audiences en vue d'obtenir justice et reddition des comptes pour les Rohingyas. et mettre fin immédiatement à toutes les formes de violence à leur encontre. Je voudrais à cet égard rendre hommage à la Gambie, à la République de Gambie, pour les rôles de premier plan qu'elle joue, ainsi qu'aux États membres qui ont contribué au financement de l'affaire. La réunion aujourd'hui du comité ministériel ad hoc de l'OCI sur la reddition des comptes pour les violations des droits humains à l'égard de Rohingyas permettra de faire le point de la situation et de coordonner les efforts à cet égard. Altesse, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, selon les rapports officiels de l'Observatoire de l'islamophobie de l'OCI, la réputation des communautés musulmanes dans de nombreux pays est sujette à la diffamation, au moment où s'accentue la haine envers les musulmans, en raison notamment de la montée des idéologies d'extrême droite. Tous les États, y compris les États islamiques, se doivent de faire face à la recrudescence d'une telle tendance négative et de prendre de nouvelles mesures pour éviter les pratiques discriminatoires, racistes et xénophobes dans les diverses franges de la société, et partant asseoir les piliers de la paix et de la sécurité. À cet égard, nous comptons sur l'appui des États membres aux efforts déployés par le secrétariat général en faveur de la lutte contre l'islamophobie. D'autre part, nous devons collaborer avec tous les membres de la communauté internationale pour lutter contre ces phénomènes. C'est avec satisfaction que nous avons accueilli l'adoption le 15 mars par l'Assemblée générale des Nations Unies d'une résolution désignant le 15 mars de chaque année comme journée internationale de lutte contre l'islamophobie. Nous formulons l'espoir qu'elle contribuera à favoriser un dialogue à l'échelle mondiale d'une culture de tolérance et de paix. La lutte contre le terrorisme est également une priorité absolue pour notre organisation. Pour y faire face, le secrétariat général met en œuvre une stratégie multidimensionnelle sur la base du mandat juridique de la Convention de l'OCI sur la lutte contre le terrorisme, parmi les questions auxquelles le secrétariat général accorde une attention particulière. Je voudrais mentionner la contribution au renforcement du dialogue entre les États, les religions, les cultures et les civilisations. Ces sujets figurent à l'ordre du jour des consultations que le secrétariat général entretient avec les États et les organisations internationales et régionales partenaires, et fait l'objet d'activités conjointes avec eux. Nous devrons renforcer cet effort. Je voudrais saisir aussi cette occasion pour féliciter les Émirats arabes unis d'avoir accueilli avec succès l'Expo 2020 de Dubaï, qui a contribué au renforcement de la compréhension et de la coopération entre les nations. Altesse, Excellences, Messieurs, Mesdames et Messieurs, dans le domaine du développement social et de la protection des valeurs de l'institution du mariage et de la famille, le secrétariat général s'apprête à convoquer d'autres réunions du groupe d'experts intergouvernementaux pour parachever la discussion du projet de convention de l'OCI sur le droit de l'enfant en islam, projet qui a été élaboré avec la Commission permanente indépendante des droits de l'homme. En ce qui concerne l'autonomisation des femmes et l'équité de genre, je voudrais saluer les efforts déployés par la République arabe d'Égypte, pays du siège de l'Organisation pour le développement de la femme, en allouant un bâtiment indépendant pour abriter le siège de l'organisation, tout en dotant des équipements appropriés. Le plan de renforcement des capacités des jeunes. Je tiens ici à rendre hommage au Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite pour avoir décidé d'accueillir la 5e session de la conférence islamique des ministres de la jeunesse et des sports, qui a été malheureusement reportée du fait des incidents de la pandémie du coronavirus. Le secrétariat général poursuit la coordination avec les autorités saoudiennes concernées à l'effet de fixer une nouvelle date pour cette conférence. En matière des médias, l'organisation a accéléré le rythme de ses investissements dans des nouveaux médias pour éclairer les États membres et l'opinion publique locale et mondiale avec ses prises de position vis-à-vis des causes vitales de la Oumma islamique et des communautés musulmanes dans les pays non membres, ainsi que pour faire connaître ces projets et ces efforts de soutien aux États membres, en particulier les moins avancés, en vue d'endiguer la propagation de la pandémie du coronavirus Covid-19. Dans le domaine humanitaire, les efforts du secrétariat général se sont développés au cours des dernières années et ses relations avec la communauté humanitaire internationale se sont considérablement renforcées. À cet égard, j'aimerais remercier tous les États membres et les institutions de l'organisation qui ont contribué au soutien de l'action humanitaire de notre organisation, notamment le Fonds de solidarité islamique et les partenaires humanitaires au premier rang desquels je citerai le Centre du roi Salman pour le secours et l'action humanitaire. Le secrétariat général a déployé d'énormes efforts pour aider les États membres les moins avancés à faire face à la pandémie du coronavirus, a adopté plusieurs initiatives à cet égard, dont tout particulièrement l'ouverture d'un compte pour la réception des dons destinés à l'achat des vaccins approuvés par l'Organisation mondiale de la santé. Le Royaume d'Arabie saoudite a fait un généreux don de 20 millions de rials saoudiens, en particulier à ce compte, en soutien à ce compte pour l'acquisition des vaccins, en coordination avec le Centre du roi Salman pour les secours et l'action humanitaire. J'ai saisi cette occasion pour lancer un appel aux États membres pour contribuer à ce compte afin de financer l'achat des vaccins au profit des États membres les moins avancés au nom de l'organisation. Altesse, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, 2 années se sont déjà écoulées et nous ne sommes pas encore parvenus à sortir totalement de la crise provoquée par la pandémie de la Covid-19. En raison de cette pandémie et des mesures de confinement draconiennes, nos États membres ont subi des pertes d'emploi considérables ainsi qu'une récession économique, une réduction des investissements et des exportations et une régression des activités touristiques. Partant de ce constat, la reprise post-corona occupe désormais une place prépondérante parmi nos préoccupations. À cet égard, notre organisation a accordé une attention particulière à la mise en œuvre de ces programmes et projets économiques dans des secteurs névralgiques tels que l'agriculture, le développement rural, la sécurité alimentaire, le travail et l'emploi, la protection sociale, ainsi qu'au renforcement des échanges commerciaux et à l'encouragement de l'investissement, afin d'assurer la réalisation des objectifs énoncés dans le programme d'action OCI 2025. Compte tenu de l'importance de la coopération dans les domaines économiques et commerciaux entre les États membres et dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre de la résolution précédente de votre auguste Conseil d'organiser un forum sur les investissements en Afrique. J'ai accordé beaucoup d'attention à cette question. Je suis sur le point d'en finaliser les détails et je les annoncerai en temps voulu. Il me plaît également de vous informer que la 8e session de la conférence ministérielle de l'OCI sur la sécurité alimentaire et le développement agricole qui s'est tenue à Istanbul, en République de Turquie, du 25 au 27 octobre 2021, a donné une nouvelle impulsion à la coopération dans le secteur. Les ministres ont approuvé 3 programmes d'action de l'OCI pour le développement des produits agricoles et stratégiques tels que le riz, le blé et le manioc. Dans le même ordre d'idées, la 11e session de la conférence islamique des ministres du tourisme et la 5e session de la conférence islamique des ministres du Travail que nous espérons seront organisées cette année, respectivement en Azerbaïdjan et aux Émirats arabes unis, permettront aux États membres de notre organisation de faire le point sur la situation actuelle dans ce secteur et d'élaborer une stratégie commune permettant de relever les défis et d'atténuer les incidences négatives de la pandémie du coronavirus sur le secteur du tourisme et du travail. Altesse, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, L'OCI a intensifié ses efforts en faveur du renforcement de la coopération entre les États membres, afin de faire progresser son agenda dans le domaine de la science, de la technologie, de l'enseignement supérieur, de la santé, de l'eau et de l'environnement, en tant que piliers fondamentaux de la stratégie de l'OCI pour l'éradication de la pauvreté, de la maladie, de l'analphabétisme et de l'extrémisme. Je me réjouis donc de rappeler que le deuxième sommet de l'OCI sur la science et la technologie, tenu virtuellement le 16 juin 2021, a fait le point sur les étapes franchies par les États membres en termes d'intégration des services de sciences, de la technologie, de l'innovation dans leur politique et stratégie nationale. Il ne fait donc aucun doute que la fourniture d'un enseignement de qualité est la première étape de la croissance économique et la réduction de la pauvreté et des disparités. Les 4 universités parrainées par l'OCI jouent un rôle déterminant dans l'éducation de près de 25 000 étudiants et étudiantes des États membres. Il me soit permis d'adresser mes remerciements et ma gratitude à tous les États membres et aux organisations qui apportent un soutien financier à ces universités, en consécration une plus grande solidarité et coopération entre les États membres dans le domaine de l'enseignement supérieur. Le programme d'échange éducatif de l'OCI vise à fournir plus de bourses d'études aux étudiants et étudiantes dans les États membres de l'OCI, en particulier les pays les moins avancés d'entre eux. Dans le domaine de la santé, le secrétariat général, en collaboration avec les organes compétents de l'organisation, a adopté une approche traditionnellement pour aider ces États membres à relever les défis inédits causés par la pandémie de la COVID-19, notamment la convocation de réunions d'urgence du comité de pilotage de la santé au niveau du ministère de la Santé, ainsi que des réunions d'urgence du comité exécutif de l'OCI au niveau des ministres des Affaires étrangères. Deuxièmement, une aide financière d'urgence aux États membres par l'entremise du Fonds de solidarité islamique et du groupe de la Banque islamique de développement. Troisièmement, la lutte contre la désinformation et les informations fallacieuses. Althèse, Monsieur dans le cadre de l'action juridique organique, les conventions traitées et statuts adoptés par le sommet islamique et les réunions du Conseil des ministres des Affaires étrangères représentent le cadre juridique qui permet à l'organisation d'exercer ses fonctions conformément au mode et au mécanisme entérinés par les États membres. À cet égard, je voudrais renouveler l'appel aux États membres qui n'ont pas encore achevé les procédures de ratification des conventions conclues dans le cadre de l'organisation, de le faire dans les meilleurs délais, afin que ces instruments puissent être mis en vigueur et que les institutions et organes qui sont en dessus puissent entrer en activité. Au premier rang de ces documents, je citerai la charte de l'organisation, les statuts de l'organisation pour le développement de la femme et de l'organisation islamique pour la sécurité alimentaire, qui sont déjà entrés en vigueur. De plus, il existe des institutions importantes dont les statuts ne sont pas encore entrés en vigueur, tels que la Cour islamique internationale de justice, le Centre de travail et le Centre de coopération et de coordination policière. Dans le cadre du programme de réforme du secrétariat général, une étude a été élaborée par l'Institut d'administration publique en collaboration avec le secrétariat général. Cette étude a abouti à l'élaboration d'un projet d'organigramme pour le secrétariat général. Dans les annexes de mon rapport à la présente session figurent les recommandations faites à cet égard. Le secrétariat général, en application des résolutions du Conseil des ministres des Affaires étrangères, a tenu une réunion du groupe d'experts intergouvernementaux pour élaborer de nouveaux règlements ainsi que pour réviser et mettre à jour certains statuts et règlements de procédure. Le secrétariat général a élaboré un projet de règlement régissant le travail du groupe de contact de l'organisation et un autre groupe de règlements régissant le travail et missions de l'OCI à l'étranger. Le mode de travail du comité des représentants permanents, le statut du personnel et les règles d'attribution du prix de l'OCI. Altesse, Excellences, Mesdames, Messieurs, les demandes de l'obtention du statut d'observateur ou de statut consultatif auprès de l'OCI se multiplient de jour en jour. En témoigne le nombre important de ces demandes reçues par le secrétariat général de la part de certains pays non membres, d'organisations internationales et d'organisations humanitaires. Nous nous réjouissons de cet intérêt. En cette occasion, je forme l'espoir de bénéficier de votre aide pour trouver la formule appropriée pour l'octroi du statut d'observateur et du statut consultatif aux pays et organisations requérant dans le cas où le demandeur remplit les exigences et les critères annoncés dans les règlements régissant ces cadres conformément au mandat qui nous a été confié par la 14e conférence islamique au sommet et le Conseil des ministres des Affaires étrangères. Le programme de l'action OCI 2025, adopté par la 13e conférence islamique au sommet, constitue le cadre optimal rassemblant les objectifs et les activités touchant les domaines vitaux pertinents à tous les États membres. Des efforts concertés doivent être déployés par tous pour une mise en œuvre efficace du dit programme. Un examen à mi-parcours de la mise en œuvre du programme devrait être finalisé cette année. J'invite les États membres à bien vouloir fournir au CESRIC, dans les meilleurs délais possibles, les données et statistiques nécessaires pour pouvoir mener à bien cet exercice important qui permettra d'évaluer l'état d'avancement de la mise en œuvre du programme d'action. Atteindre les objectifs. Les différents objectifs que je viens de citer et accroître la capacité de l'organisation à relever les défis actuels nous commandent d'aller de l'avant sur la voie d'une réforme globale de notre organisation et de ses différents organes et instituts avec le soutien et l'engagement des États membres. Nous comptons également sur votre soutien financier continue à l'organisation et à ses différents organes, afin qu'ils puissent mettre en œuvre et assurer le suivi de tous les plans et programmes approuvés par vos Altesses Excellences. Nous sommes persuadés qu'en renforçant le rôle de l'organisation, nous consoliderons l'action islamique commune et l'esprit de solidarité entre nos États membres. Le secrétariat général poursuit ses efforts auprès des autorités compétentes du Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite pour la mise en œuvre des procédures des règlements des arriérés de certains États membres pour lesquels le gouvernement du Royaume d'Arabie Saoudite a pris l'initiative de régler leurs arriérés dus pour l'OCI dans le cadre de son soutien et son assistance continue à l'organisation. Ces arriérés constituent l'obstacle empêchant l'organisation d'honorer convenablement ses charges. Les obligations urgentes seront couvertes grâce à ces paiements et il sera envisageable d'étudier les possibilités d'investissement direct en coopération avec la Banque islamique de développement. Je tiens également à souligner que le secrétariat général, dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre de recommandations de la Commission permanente des finances, œuvrera en concertation avec le président de la Commission permanent des finances et le président de l'organe du contrôle financier, afin d'offrir à la réunion annuelle de la Commission permanente des finances le temps nécessaire et suffisant pour examiner tous les points de son ordre, examiner tous les points de son ordre du jour, d'autant qu'on œuvrera à préparer le budget de manière conforme à l'exercice budgétaire, prenant en considération l'ouverture de l'exercice budgétaire en janvier et sa clôture en décembre, conformément au règlement financier de l'OCI, aux règles de procédure de la Commission permanente des finances, ainsi que les règles de procédure de l'organe du contrôle financier OCF. Dans le contexte, le secrétariat général ne ménagera aucun effort pour mettre en œuvre les recommandations de l'organe de contrôle financier issues de ces 41e et 42e sessions en vue de renforcer la transparence de l'action financière. Je voudrais insister sur la recherche d'une représentation géographique plus équitable lors du pourvoi des postes vacants. De même, nous nous attelons à redoubler d'efforts pour recruter dans un plus grand nombre de pays non représentés ou sous-représentés afin de consacrer une répartition géographique équitable au sein du secrétariat général et des organes subsidiaires. Altesses, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, la scène mondiale connaît de graves tensions ces derniers jours en raison de la crise ukrainienne dont les répercussions vont au-delà des pays de la région pour s'étendre au monde entier. Cette crise pourra potentiellement défavoriser la reprise économique encore fragile dans de nombreux pays, y compris les États membres de l'OCI. Comme vous le savez tous, ces conflits en cours risquent d'affecter de manière significative les exportations de blé de ces deux pays qui représentent près de 29% de l'offre mondiale. À cet égard, je devrais inciter les États membres de l'OCI à passer de la parole aux actes par rapport à la stratégie des réserves alimentaires de l'OCI sur les stratégies des réserves alimentaires de l'OCI sur les produits stratégiques, à savoir le blé, le riz et le manioc, dans le but d'assurer ces réserves alimentaires au niveau national et régional et par conséquent un niveau d'autosuffisance alimentaire acceptable dans les pays membres de l'OCI. Ainsi, partant des principes et objectifs annoncés dans la Charte des Nations Unies et de l'OCI, dont tout particulièrement la contribution aux efforts de maintien de la paix et de la sécurité internationale, le secrétariat général a exhorté les parties concernées à œuvrer en faveur d'une solution pacifique de la crise ukrainienne et à poursuivre les négociations pour la recherche d'une solution politique qui garantira une paix et une stabilité durable et qui préservera la sécurité des populations. Devant votre auguste conseil ne sont qu'un résumé des efforts déployés par le secrétariat général de l'OCI dans l'exécution de la mission qui lui a assignée. Mais une documentation complète comprenant mon rapport sur les activités de l'organisation est soumise à votre attention. Vous conviendrez avec moi que les défis sont nombreux et multiformes, dont je demeure convaincu qu'ensemble, unis et solidaires, nous pourrons contribuer à les relever. Puisse le pour lesquels nous nous sommes fixés au service de la Oumma islamique et pour la réalisation de
Mr. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will now hear a video message from the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres.
Excellencies, as you gather in Pakistan, I am pleased to send my greetings to the meeting of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Council of Foreign Ministers. The United Nations, the OIC, enjoy a close, decades-long relationship rooted in trust and based on the shared belief in the values of multilateral cooperation, dialogue, and solidarity. Across Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and beyond, our two organizations have worked together to nurture a culture of peace, tolerance, and understanding. In recent years, we have successfully deepened our collaboration on key areas of mutual concern, including mediation, countering terrorism, preventing violent extremism, combating anti-Muslim hatred, and promoting religious tolerance. Today, the imperative to join forces, devise common strategies, and draw on our comparative advantages is more urgent than ever. In my recent report on our common agenda, I have offered proposals guided by the beacon of the Charter to update global governance, better manage risks and threats, and build a safer, more resilient and inclusive world set out in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Challenges abound, from the war in Ukraine and its global ramifications to growing inequalities and proliferating assaults on human rights. Developing countries, in particular, face crises on so many fronts. Vast inequity is blocking recovery. Poverty is deepening, and countries are paralyzed by debt and liquidity issues. We must reform a morally bankrupt global financial system, and we must make sure that all countries have the resources they need to recover from the pandemic, build resilience against climate shocks, and support the Sustainable Development Goals. Only together, in unity, with partners at all levels, can we confront shared challenges and create a better future for all. Thank you.
I now request His Excellency Mr. Mohtar Tilberdi, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of the Republic of Kazakhstan, to deliver a statement. He will be speaking on behalf of the Asia Group of the OIC member states.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Minister Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, distinguished Mr. Shah Mahmood Qureshi, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, distinguished Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, Secretary General of OIC, Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, on behalf of the Asian Group of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and on behalf of the delegation of Kazakhstan, allow me to express appreciation to the government of Pakistan for the cordial hospitality and excellent arrangement of today's OIC ministerial meeting, titled Partnership for Unity, Justice and Development. I would like to express special gratitude to the OIC General Secretariat for the preparation of this meeting. I also would like to congratulate the Republic of Niger on the successful completion of chairmanship of the 47th session of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers. I wish all participants of this meeting a productive work for the prosperity of our Ummah. Dear colleagues, today on global scale, the world is going through a challenging period and undergoing significant changes. Military conflicts, confrontation between the West and the East, the Ukrainian crisis, the consequences of the pandemic, religious intolerance, instability in the financial and commodity markets, all of these have a negative impact on the performance of the global economy and security. We observe the continuation of such trends as multipolarity, economic globalization, informational advancement of society, multiculturalism, and transformation of the system of global governance and world order. The connectivity and interdependence of states is increasing, and we see growing trends of redistribution of the global balance of forces and increasing demand of global community for leadership related to the interest of peaceful and progressive development. Meanwhile, the situation with global and regional security is becoming more and more complicated with each passing day. Challenges and threats are running rampant. The hybrid confrontation is expanding and fake news has become widespread, inciting ethnic, racial, and religious discord, thus even further exacerbating the regional conflicts. These are followed by entrenching traditions of unilateral approaches to addressing international issues, that is, through the use of force. Such development contributes to growing practices of interference in the internal affairs of other states, infringing on the rights of sovereign advancement and simultaneously regional international cooperation. This ultimately hinders the progress of humankind and destroys trust as the foundation of stable peace. All these risks and threats are relevant for the Islamic world as well. Today, more than ever, the countries of the Islamic world and the OIC member states need unity and must defend their interest and position to preserve common values and provide all possible support and necessary assistance. And I believe that the subject of today's summit highlights the importance of this idea. Nowadays, Kazakhstan is creating a concept of new Kazakhstan. Recently, President Tokayev announced the large-scale and meaningful reforms which cover almost all areas of life of the country. They include initiatives aimed at political liberalization, plurality, and openness. In the sphere of the economic, the reforms are focused on the tackling monopolization, improving living standards, and ensuring that all citizens feel the benefits of our growing economy. Societal reforms are aimed at improving health and education of the nation as well as other sectors. Kazakhstan today fully supports international efforts to ensure regional security and sustainable development of the countries of Eurasia. The ongoing global and regional processes require collective decision regarding resolute reunification of wars, conflicts, confrontation, and choosing the path of peace, dialogue, and focusing on joint development. Against this backdrop, as an intergovernmental forum that brings together 27 member states, 9 observers, and more than half of the world population with the established political dialogue, conference on interaction, and confidence-building measures in Asia has a potential to become an effective tool for joint confrontation of new challenges and ensuring security and stability in the region. The key priority of Kazakhstan chairmanship at the SICA process is the transformation of the conference into a full-fledged international organization. Conversion into an international organization will significantly expand the capacity of the SICA and increase array of tools for practical cooperation between its member states. Within its chairmanship, Kazakhstan will hold the 6th SICA summit in Nur-Sultan on the 12th and 13th of November this year, which marks the 30th anniversary of the conference. This event aims to propel the SICA into a new level institutional development. At the initiative of Kazakhstan, the Code of Conduct towards achieving the world free of terrorism was developed within the UN and opened for signature in 2018. It has now been signed by 89 countries. Since 2017, our capital has hosted 17 rounds of the Astana process talks on Syria, aimed at facilitating the efforts of the international community to resolve the prolonged conflict. Kazakhstan, like many OIC member states, is concerned about the situation in Afghanistan. Socioeconomic and financial issues need to be addressed urgently to prevent large-scale humanitarian crisis in the region. Kazakhstan contributes within its capacity to the efforts of the world community to stabilize the situation in Afghanistan. We regularly provide humanitarian aid to the Afghan population, implement national and international programs to train Afghan youth, including girls, in educational institutions of Kazakhstan. In 2020, the KSA, Official Development Assistance Agency, was established to assist the countries of Central Asia and Afghanistan in promoting the Sustainable Development Goals. The opening in Almaty city of the temporary remote office of UNAMA was a sign of the recognition of the role Kazakhstan and the organization's trust in our country. I would also like to emphasize the timeliness of the extraordinary meeting of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers on Humanitarian Situation in Afghanistan held in Islamabad on 19th of December 2021, which resulted in the adoption of the several practical decisions, including the launch of the Afghanistan Food Security Program under the aegis of the Islamic Organization for Food Security, and the establishment of the Humanitarian Trust Fund under the aegis of the Islamic Development Bank. In this regard, I call on the OIC Secretariat to assist the IOFC in the prompt launching the Afghanistan Food Security Program and the OIC member states to make generous contribution to this program. Regretfully, conflicts and military clashes continue among the Muslim countries today. The events in Yemen, Syria, and several African states have become a matter of concern. Therefore, we believe that the initiative of Islamic rapprochement remains relevant for peace and harmony in the Islamic world. Kazakhstan reaffirms its unwavering position for just and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian question on the basis of relevant resolutions of the UN Security Council and the UN General Assembly in accordance with the two states for two nations principle. Moreover, we reiterate the OIC principled position on the Jammu and Kashmir dispute for peaceful settlement in accordance with the relevant United Nations Security Council. We are convinced that promoting the ideology of tolerance, mutual understanding, and cultural diversity is the key to combating hatred and discrimination. An example of interfaith dialogue is the Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions, which has been held in Kazakhstan since 2003 and is attended by the leaders of the Islamic world and the Secretary General of the OIC. The next 6th Congress will be held in September 2022 in Kazakhstan. Distinguished participants, in the face of the new challenges, the further transformation of the organization is an important issue. Therefore, we need to swiftly conclude the process of reforming of the IC. In this context, we are grateful to Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Bangladesh for their efforts and contribution for the holding of 2 expert group meetings on comprehensive reform of our organization. The combat against the COVID-19 pandemic and overcoming its consequences are still among the pressing issues on our cooperation agenda. At the current stage, I would like to emphasize the importance of uniting our efforts in the combat against the pandemic and an exchange of vaccines. In addition, Kazakhstan, within its activity in the UN, initiated the establishment of the International Agenda for Biology Safety, which in future will contribute to the prevention of biological threats and the exchange of information on dangerous diseases. Comprehensive support for this initiative will allow our countries to take timely measures in the future. The pandemic, more than anything else, showed the urgent need for the development of science and technology in the Muslim world and beyond. At the first OIC Summit on Science and Technology held in September 2017 in Nur-Sultan, Kazakhstan initiated the establishment of the OIC 15 group, which unites 15 leading Muslim countries in the field of science and technology to promote the potential of our Ummah in these areas. This year, Kazakhstan intends to hold a meeting of ministers of the OIC 15 group member states responsible for education, science, and technology. This step would also again demonstrate the need to consolidate efforts in the development of our own advanced science and technology as an important factor in achieving peace and prosperity. Distinguished colleagues, today many countries, including the Islamic world, are facing acute issue of ensuring food security due to the complex of geopolitical situation in the world and climate changes. Many countries in Africa and Middle East are sounding the alarm and are requesting our help in providing essential products. Some countries are experiencing famine due to the crop failures last year. We are ready to cooperate in this area and consider it important to revitalize the Islamic Organization for Food Security and to use its potential to ensure access to food supply for countries in need. To date, 36 of the 56 OIC countries have joined this organization and only 17 countries have ratified its charter. We call on the members of the OIC to actively engage in the activities of the International Organization for Food Security. Last but not least, I invite distinguished delegation to support the resolution on granting the Organization of Turkic States the observer status in the OIC, which will be discussed this afternoon in the special committee. As a founding members of this organization, Kazakhstan is interested to enhance cooperation with important international organizations such as OIC. And we believe that strong partnership between OIC and different Asian regional organizations will increase the Islamic solidarity in the international arena and open a new avenue of cooperation. Availing this opportunity, I would like to inform that recently, on the 12th March this year, there was the early presidential election in the Turkmenistan, which, according to the international observers, was held in the fair, free, and competitive atmosphere. As a result of election, His Excellency Mr. Serdar Berdimuhamedov, with the support of 73% of the electorate, has become a new president of Turkmenistan. Also, I will this opportunity to express on behalf of the Asian group the heartfelt congratulations to the government and the people of Pakistan on the occasion of the 75th anniversary of the independence of the Republic. And I wish peace and prosperity to the brotherly people of Pakistan. In conclusion, allow me to express the hope that all OIC will continue to advance its goals and objectives for the benefit of the entire Muslim Ummah. I wish all participants fruitful work at today's event, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your insightful remarks. I now request His Excellency Mr. Othman Yarandi, Foreign Minister of the Republic of Tunisia, to make his speech. He will be speaking on behalf of the Arab group of the OIC member states.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah.
معالي السيد عمران خان الوزير الأول لجمهورية باكستان.
Mr. Imran Khan, Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Excellency Shah Mahmoud Qureshi, Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. We congratulate you on your chairmanship of this session and for the celebration of your Independence Day. Highnesses, Excellencies, Excellency Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, Secretary General of the OIC, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Arab group, I'm pleased to extend my greetings to Shah Mahmoud Qureshi, Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, for the efforts deployed to consolidate joint Islamic action. I also extend my thanks to the Republic of Niger for its excellent chairmanship of the previous session of our Council. I should seize this opportunity to hail the efforts made by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the chair of the Islamic Summit. I extend my thanks to Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, the OIC Secretary General, for providing support to Arab states to further enhance the organization. Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the holding of this meeting under the motto of building partnerships reaffirms our need as an Islamic group more than ever, our need for having a joint confrontation of the challenges that we are facing as a result of the serious rapid changes in the world and the need to contain them in order to promote peace and security in the world and in our Islamic and Arab region in particular. Our organization has a weight and needs a joint position in order to address the various international and regional issues on the basis of the principles and the values that bring us together and which we share. These require an urgent solution to all the causes on the basis of the same international standards. The Arab group reiterates the need to identify a political settlement to all the crises witnessed in our region and to make our voice heard and defend our causes in the international arena. This will deal with all the attempts that aim to destabilize our countries. The joint ties between us and our commitment to the values of justice require that we need to fulfill our responsibility to the Palestinian people to end the daily Israeli violation of the rights of Palestinians and the promotion of the settlement policies that will reduce the possibility of a peace and reduce tension in the region. The Palestinian cause is at the forefront of our concerns. We call for a resumption of the peace process and the settlement of the issue on the basis of international resolutions and on the basis of the Arab and Islamic position. The same applies to Jammu Kashmir. Here, we need to implement all the international resolutions. It is a just course, and there is no doubt about that. The same applies to Yemen, and here we call on Yemen to go for a dialogue to settle the issue. We thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the valuable efforts in this regard. Terrorism and violent extremism are a common enemy that destabilize our countries. This requires further vigilance and more effective coordination and cooperation in order to use the preventive measures and to adopt new approaches to face this scourge and the trans-border organized crime such as illegal migration and trafficking in humans. On the other hand, we need to adopt modern digital communication means to face Islamophobia and the discourse of hatred and extremism. And we need to work together to promote the discourse of tolerance and the acceptance of the other. We need further cooperation among the various partners to convince others about the just cause of our causes and to promote the principles of understanding on the basis of the peaceful cohabitation between peoples. Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, reinforcing peace and security in our Islamic region in the face of the exceptional challenges such as COVID-19, and in order to be able to deal with the Ukrainian issue, all of this requires further partnership at the economic and developmental levels, and our Arab financial institutions need to make more contributions, and the same applies to specialized organizations working in these areas. The aim is to achieve the set objectives, to promote trade in the Islamic world, and to activate tourism, and we need further initiatives to promote our economies such as the OIC investment initiative. In this, we rely on the cooperation between the private and public sectors in order to benefit from our abilities as men and women and the use of all the available resources to promote innovation in the various critical sectors that enable us to be part of the world economy. Mr. Chairman, Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our determination is firm to contribute to a modern reformist policy of our organization that will enable us to upgrade its role in order to consolidate cooperation among member states. The aim is to achieve dynamics in the various parts of the organization in its economic, political and development roles. We believe that the challenges we are facing at the moment require consolidating cooperation and consultation the OIC and the League of Arab States, and we need to open up to other organizations in our region with a view to mobilizing more support to our causes in the international arena on the basis of the principles of the UN Charter
من أجل عالم أكثر عدلا وسلاما ورفاها للجميع. وفقنا الله جميعا لما فيه خير أمتنا الإسلامية وعزة شعوبها وسؤددها. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency, for your inspiring statement. I now request His Excellency Mr. Zubair Dada, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Nigeria, to make his speech. He will speak on behalf of the Africa Group of the OIC member states.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellency, Mr. Imran Khan, Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Your Excellency Makhdoom Shah Mahmood Qureshi, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and Chairman of this session, Your Royal Highness, the Foreign Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Honorable Ministers, Your Excellency Ambassador Hussein Brahim Taha, the Secretary General, distinguished delegates and other invited guests, gentlemen of the press. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is for me indeed a great honor and privilege to speak today on behalf of the African Group on the occasion of the 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, holding in this beautiful city of Islamabad. We are indeed humbled by this singular honor. Let me at the outset convey the sincere appreciation of my delegation and that of the entire African Group to the government and the people of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan for the warm reception and generous hospitality. And we also thank them for the excellent facilities that have been put at our disposal for the success of our meeting. We wish to congratulate the good people of Pakistan on the celebration of the 75th anniversary of independence of Pakistan. We wish you more peace and prosperity. Permit me also to congratulate you, Mr. Chairman, for your unanimous election to steer the proceedings of this session. And in the same vein, I wish to commend the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Brotherly Republic of Niger for the numerous accomplishments during his chairmanship of the previous session. I further take this opportunity to welcome on board our new Secretary General, Ambassador Taha, and to assure him of our full support and a fruitful and successful tenure at the helms of our common organization. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the 48th session of family is taking place at a crucial moment in the history of our organization. The huge socio-economic and humanitarian challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic, coupled with the rising wave of political and security crisis in parts of our member states, call for our concerted efforts and joint action for durable solutions. It is obvious that our immediate preoccupation should be directed towards fashioning and implementing a robust post-COVID-19 recovery plan to respond to the needs of our people. And to this end, we reiterate our support for the commendable endeavors of the OIC aimed at addressing the various conflict situations and flashpoints, particularly in Africa. The menace of terrorism, insurgency, banditry, small arms and light weapons, human and drug trafficking, have continued to militate against the peace, security, stability, human rights, social cohesion, and indeed the economic development of the entire African region. And this is why we welcome the choice of the theme of this session, which is Partnership for Unity, Justice, and Development, which we consider very apt and indeed very relevant. We believe that the 48th session will do justice not only to the numerous issues on this agenda, but also adopt appropriate and implementable resolutions to address our common and pressing challenges and fast-track recovery in our member states from the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Chairman, for the past 12 years, Nigeria and indeed the Lake Chad basin countries have continued to suffer from brutal acts of terrorism led by Boko Haram and lately ISWAP. The activities of these enemies of peace, unity and progress and development have created a very serious humanitarian crisis in our region. In Nigeria alone, we have over 3 million people that are displaced and are living in IDP camps. In Burkina Faso, we have about 2 million people that are also living in IDP camps. The OIC must not abandon these people. They are in dire need of your assistance, and that is why Nigeria has proposed a new draft resolution on this subject for your kind consideration and adoption. And we hope that the OIC will extend its full solidarity to these people with a view to alleviating their plight. Furthermore, a robust implementation of the relevant OIC resolutions on combating the Boko Haram and other terrorist groups in West and Central Africa, and indeed some parts of Southern Africa, and support for the operations of the G5 Sahel Joint Force will significantly assist the ongoing national and sub-regional efforts towards addressing these lingering security problems in our sub-region. This measure would, if of necessity, also include the comprehensive review and execution of the OIC Code of Conduct on Combating International Terrorism, 1994, and the OIC Convention on Combating Terrorism. We further urge for concrete collaboration and partnership with the national agencies of the member states, including the Saudi-led Islamic Military Counterterrorism Coalition, in order to stamp out this menace that is facing our countries. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, beyond the active measures needed to counter terrorism in our region, the mobilization of funds for the various national social and humanitarian actions are crucial to the rehabilitation and radicalization efforts in the affected countries. Equally significant is the need to address the economic root causes of insecurity in the African region. In this regard, the implementation of the OIC resolution on the recharge of the Lake Chad, which has lost over 80% of its water, would contribute to the restoration of the various communities in the Lake Chad Basin and return millions of people to their lost livelihoods. Similarly, it is our conviction that the agenda of OIC on peace and security can best succeed if we establish meaningful partnership with the United Nations, the African Union, and other sub-regional groupings in Africa on conflict prevention, conciliation, mediation, and peace building, as well as the promotion of good governance and democracy. And closely related to this is the need for granting debt remission and relief for our countries, especially the least developed countries that represent more than 1/3 of the OIC membership. Mr. Chairman, Poverty remains one of the major challenges confronting Africa, and the pandemic has sadly further aggravated the situation. To create a better and more sustainable future for our people, strengthening intra-OIC cooperation to harness the enormous resources and potentials within our member states is key and essential. Equally vital is the need to boost intra-OIC trade and commercial exchanges as a bedrock for our economic cooperation and a means to further enhance South-South cooperation. We regret to note the drastic decline in the volume of intra-OIC trade, reported from 700.1 billion in 2019 to just 552.8 billion in 2020, amounting to about 21.2% decline. We applaud and encourage OIC efforts in capacity building and skills acquisition development, as well as the promotion of research and innovation, especially in the areas of agriculture and food security. In this regard, we support the adoption of the OIC Plan of Action on the development of strategic agricultural commodities and underscore our commitment to play a central role in the implementation of programs on wheat, rice, and cassava as part of our endeavor to promote agricultural cooperation. Already in Nigeria, the central bank-supported Anko Borrower's program has produced the desired result, as we have drastically cut rice importation and have attained the first position in rice production in Africa. Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, as we commend the OIC for its sustained interest in Africa through the various IDB initiatives, which include the Islamic Solidarity Fund for Development, the Islamic Development Fund, and the Special Program for the Development of Africa, we call for additional mobilization of resources in order to achieve the target capitals of these funds and programs. And we also reiterate the importance of the Dakar-Port Sudan rail project and the need to accord it the due attention it deserves because of its enormous economic impact on the continent. Mr. Chairman, before I close, let me reaffirm on behalf of the African Group our full solidarity with the people of Palestine, as I also restate our support for the cause of Jammu and Kashmir people. We commend the Islamic Republic of Pakistan for its sustained commitment to the ideals of the OIC and pledge our support to its chairmanship. We also wish the 48th session of the Conference of Foreign Ministers very fruitful deliberations. I thank you for your very, very kind attention. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Excellency, for very valid observations. I now invite President, Islamic Development Bank, His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Salman Al-Jasser, for his statement.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أفضل الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Your Excellency Imran Khan, Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Your Highness Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, Foreign Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the OIC Summit Chair. Your Excellency Mr. Makhdoom Shah Mahmood Qureshi, Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Your Excellency Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Excellencies, representatives of the OIC member states and representatives of all other countries, distinguished representatives of the fellow multilateral banks and UN agencies, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allow me to begin by expressing my utmost appreciation to this esteemed session of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers for designating building partnerships for unity, justice, and development as its theme, which is most pertinent. We cannot overemphasize the importance of partnerships for realizing our vision of prosperity, development, and solidarity. As an institution committed to sustainable development, the Islamic Development Bank recognizes that partnerships are the key enablers for socioeconomic advancement. To continue to respond to evolving development needs, the Islamic Development Bank is firmly committed to supporting green, sustainable, and resilient infrastructure, the foundation for higher productivity and growth. The Islamic Development Bank is also investing in inclusive human capital development and social infrastructure through investment in health, education, nutrition, and job creation. For the bank, solidarity means strengthening partnerships and cooperation among the member countries in all possible areas to enhance their collective economic development. To achieve this goal, the bank has introduced new modalities and initiatives to strengthen economic linkages among its member countries. The programs under IDB's regional cooperation and integration, supported by our private sector group entities, aim to scale up regional integration projects, intra-OIC trade and investment levels through cross-border projects and trade corridors. Excellencies, distinguished guests, the establishment of the Afghanistan Humanitarian Trust Fund is a strong message of solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Afghanistan. The 17th extraordinary meeting of the OIC Foreign Ministers, held in this great city on December 19, 2021, asked the Islamic Development Bank to establish, operationalize, and manage the fund to channel humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan in partnership with other international and regional stakeholders. I am pleased to update that the charter has been signed with the OIC. This is the first but very pivotal step that will pave the way for operationalization of the fund. The IDB is strongly committed to ensuring strict policies and guidelines to govern all of the fund's activities. Accordingly, we guarantee utmost transparency in all aspects of the fund's activities and adherence to the relevant international standards and best practices. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, given the gravity of the challenges facing Afghanistan today, no single entity or institution can tackle them alone. Instead, there is a consensus that the international community needs to collectively provide a holistic, practical, sustainable, and comprehensive solution, learning from the lessons of the past and leveraging the strengths of all stakeholders to address these daunting challenges. Since last December, the bank has had continuous coordination and consultations with the OIC, development partners, humanitarian organizations, and donors. We have also consulted with countries interested in supporting the Afghani people. We are committed to benefiting from all relevant experiences and exploring potential cooperation opportunities to ensure formulation of an impactful partnership to undertake collective efforts to achieve the fund's objectives. Since 76% of the Afghanistan population lives in rural areas, a primary focus of the fund will be to save lives by preserving rural livelihoods. An integrated, holistic approach is proposed to be adopted to ensure that the fund's limited resources are deployed most effectively to yield maximum developmental impact. We are also keen to leverage local community development councils, especially in rural communities, to design and implement various initiatives under the fund to enhance local ownership. We are committed to working with all our partners to break the prevalent vicious cycle of poverty and initiate a virtuous cycle of hope and self-reliance in the country. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, depending on the fund's funding amounts and possible replenishments, a comprehensive phased approach will be adopted to promote long-term peace and stability. This can be achieved by enhancing agricultural productivity to promote food security, ensuring access to quality education, especially for females, provisioning of health care facilities in rural communities, women and youth empowerment, as well as facilitating rural electrification. The fund, in close coordination with our partners, is also actively exploring potential opportunities to leverage the private sector to support the humanitarian efforts, especially by focusing on creating meaningful employment opportunities in agro-business through supporting micro and small medium enterprises. The Islamic Development Bank is also ideally positioned to provide the necessary platform for neighboring and regional member countries to play a positive role by optimally leveraging the IDB's South-South cooperation program. Benefiting from the experience, expertise, and knowledge of several OIC and Islamic Development Bank member countries, the Islamic Development Bank, under the overall umbrella of the fund, is keen to facilitate the capacity building in key sectors such as banking and finance, medicine, and agriculture. We expect Islamic finance, particularly Islamic social finance instruments such as zakat, to play an essential role in facilitating resource mobilization and successful delivery of the programs. We look forward to the generous support of all OIC countries, international, regional, and bilateral organizations, the private sector, and philanthropists. The success of this fund will not be of credit to a single individual, entity, or institution, but to all of humanity. I reiterate the Islamic Development Bank's continued commitment to work closely with our partners and the international community to fully synchronize all efforts to ensure we collectively deliver sustainable support to Afghanistan, fostering resilience and self-reliance. Excellencies, distinguished guests, I take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the OIC Special Envoy for all their efforts to promote the Afghanistan Humanitarian Trust Fund globally. I would also like to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for this vital initiative whereby we take the lead in helping our fellow Muslims. Special thanks go to Nigeria for being the first country to make a pledge. We are confident other countries and donors will follow suit. I also extend my special thanks to the government of Pakistan for its generosity and hospitality, and also congratulate the people and the government of Pakistan on the occasion of this 75th anniversary of independence. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your statement. We are moving closer to the closure of the inaugural session. May I request Excellencies
to take your seats, and I'd like to see the House in order before I invite our special guest to come to the rostrum for his statement. Please take your seats. People standing at the back, I would request you to please take your seats. Thank you. Excellencies, today we have with us His Excellency Mr. Wang Yi, State Councillor, Foreign Minister of the People's Republic of China, as a special guest. I now request him to come to the rostrum for his statement. State Councillor Wang Yi.
尊敬的伊姆兰汗总理，尊敬的库里希外长、塔哈秘书长，各位同事、各位兄弟、各位好朋友，非常高兴应邀出席伊斯兰合作组织外长会的开幕式，并有机会发表致辞。这是中国外长首次参加伊斯兰合作组织的外长会，充分体现了中国同伊斯兰世界加强交流合作的真诚愿望，必将推动我们的双方关系迈上新的台阶。中华文明同伊斯兰文明都是世界上有重要影响的古老文明，双方的交往绵延千年，历经国际风云变幻的考验，有着深厚的历史底蕴和坚实的民意基础。友好始终是双方关系的主流，平等始终是彼此互动的基础，共赢始终是相互合作的目标。长期以来，我们始终坚持互尊互信，支持对方核心关切。我们不会忘记当年阿尔及利亚等国共同提交议案，近30个伊斯兰国家坚定的支持，把中国抬进了联合国。同样，在伊斯兰世界最为关注的巴勒斯坦问题上，中国的支持从未犹豫，从未缺席。我们始终坚持团结互助，致力发展，实现共同发展。疫情爆发后，伊斯兰国家第一时间给予中国宝贵的支持，中国也及时向50个伊斯兰国家提供了13亿剂疫苗以及大量的抗疫物资。共建“一带一路”已经成为双方走向发展繁荣的桥梁和纽带。中国迄今已经同54个伊斯兰国家签署了合作文件，开展了将近600个大型的合作项目，资金投资的总额达到了4000亿美元，给双方人民带来了实实在在的利益。我们始终坚持互学互鉴，守护世界的多样文明。中华文明和伊斯兰文明历史上都对人类文明做出过重大的贡献，而近代以来，我们也都受到了不公正的对待。现在，我们正携手迈上发展复兴之路。我们要大力倡导文明平等对话、交流互鉴，从彼此的悠久文明中汲取智慧，共同抵制文明歧视，共同反对文明冲突。应该说，中国和伊斯兰世界已经找到了一条不同文明友好相处、合作共赢的道路，成为践行新型国际关系的典范，对不同国家、不同文明之间如何交往提供了有益的经验。各位同事、各位朋友， 面对动荡变革的世界，本届伊核组织外长会聚焦结伴实现团结、公正、发展这一主题，反映了世界上大多数国家的共同心声。中方愿意同一方一道，倡导真正的多边主义，捍卫联合国宪章的宗旨原则，维护以联合国为核心的国际体系，在追求民族复兴的道路上风雨同舟，携手同行。中国愿意同伊斯兰世界建设4个伙伴关系：一是做团结协作的伙伴，相互坚定支持彼此捍卫国家的主权、独立和领土完整，坚定支持彼此独立自主地探索符合本国国情的发展道路，坚定支持彼此维护自身的正当发展权益和广大发展中国家的共同利益。二是做发展振兴的伙伴，继续团结抗疫。下阶段，中方将继续向伊斯兰国家提供3亿剂疫苗，助力各国构筑健康防线。我们将继续加强发展战略对接，以高质量共建“一带一路”和携手落实全球发展倡议为双引擎，巩固传统合作，培育新兴亮点，助力中伊发展振兴，引领南合作潮流，为实现联合国2030年可持续发展议程注入强劲动力。三是做安全稳定的伙伴，中方将继续支持伊斯兰国家运用伊斯兰的智慧，解决当前的热点问题，把维稳促和的钥匙牢牢掌握在自己的手中。中方将继续坚定站在巴勒斯坦人民一边，支持在两国方案基础上推动早日召开更具权威性和代表性的国际和会，促进巴勒斯坦问题的全面、公正解决。中方将尊重阿富汗人民自己做出的选择，支持阿富汗实现包容建政、稳健治理，开启和平重建新的篇章。在克什米尔问题上，我们今天再次听到了很多伊斯兰朋友的呼声。中方和大家一样，我们抱有同样的愿望。中方也支持俄罗斯和乌克兰继续和谈，谈出停火，谈出止战，谈出和平。要防止发生人道主义灾难，要避免乌克兰危机外溢影响和损害其他地区和国家的正当权益。四是做文明互鉴的伙伴，共同弘扬和平、发展、公平、正义、民主、自由的全人类共同价值，反对意识形态划线，制造分裂对抗，坚持不同文明交流互鉴，反对文明优越论，反对文明冲突论，反对对非西方文明的歪曲和抹黑，深化预防性反恐和去极端化的合作，抵制反恐的双重标准，反对将恐怖主义同特定的民族、宗教挂钩。各位同事，历史已经证明，并将继续证明，中国是伊斯兰世界的真诚朋友和合作伙伴。我们愿意同伊斯兰国家一道，共同促进世界格局多极化、国际关系民主化、人类文明多样化，为构建人类命运共同体而不懈努力。最后，再次感谢 巴基斯坦成功主办今天的外展会，也对巴基斯坦的国庆日表示我们最衷心的祝贺。预祝会议圆满成功，谢谢各位。
Thank you, Excellency, for your insightful remarks. We are grateful indeed for your gracious presence. I now request His Excellency, Mr. Imran Khan, Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, to make his keynote address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, Thy aid do we seek, and Thy do we worship.
Foreign Minister, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, Honorable Foreign Minister of China, Wang Yi, Royal Highnesses, Honorable Foreign Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me welcome you with great joy and happiness on this 48th Foreign Ministers OIC meeting. And it's being held in Islamabad at a time when we are celebrating our 75th anniversary of our independence. So I want to warmly welcome you. I hope you have a great stay here. And from the people of Pakistan, they are overjoyed that all of you are here and on this special occasion. Today I want to especially congratulate our OIC members because of a landmark resolution passed in the United Nations declaring 15th March as a day to combat Islamophobia. But I want to remind people why 15th of March. 15th of March was a day when a gunman walked into a mosque in New Zealand and shot dead 50 people. Why did he shoot them? Because he felt that all Muslims were terrorists. Where did this Islamophobia grow and was allowed to keep growing? After 9/11. What happened after 9/11? Unfortunately, this narrative of Islamic terrorism, Islamic radicalism, this narrative went on unchecked. Respected foreign ministers, I have spent a lot of my life in England, touring all over the world as an international sportsman. And I understand the Western civilization probably much better than most people. I went to university there and then used to spend half my year playing sports in the summer in England. Now I saw this growing. After 9/11, this Islamophobia kept growing. And the reason was, I'm sorry to say, that we, the Muslim countries, did not do anything to check this wrong narrative. How can any religion have anything to do with terrorism? How was Islam equated with terrorism? And once that happens, how is the man in the street in Western countries, how is he supposed to differentiate between a moderate Muslim and a radical Muslim? How can he differentiate? Hence, this man walks into mosque and shoots everyone he could. Unfortunately, what should have been done and wasn't, the heads of Muslim countries should have taken a stand on this. But instead, a lot of our heads of state kept saying things like, well, we are moderate. The moment you say you're a moderate Muslim, you automatically say that there is some extreme form of Islam. Our head of state at the time, after 9/11, he coined a phrase called Enlightened Moderation. I understand English better than most. I still don't know what it means. Enlightened moderation was a term to appease those who were relating terrorism to Islam. And unfortunately, as a result, there was this perception that there are different types of Islam. There's some radical Islam, there's some moderate, there's some liberal Islam. There is only one Islam, Islam of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no other Islam. In human communities, in every human community, you have your moderates, you have your liberals, you have your conservatives, you have your fanatics. Every human community has that. The man who walked into the mosque in New Zealand clearly was not a normal person. So, but why no other human community was branded with their religion? 1.5 billion people branded by these terms. And there always should be self-criticism, because that's how you improve. Unless you analyze your mistakes, you can't improve yourself. So that was the biggest mistake we made. We did not challenge this narrative. And guess who suffered? Muslims living in Western countries. They kept suffering, because any incident would happen, any terrorist incident by a Muslim immediately meant that every Muslim became branded. When 9/11 happened, I still remember, people were petrified in Pakistan that I hope there was no Pakistani involved. How could how could whole community be responsible for some fanatical deed by some extremists? So therefore, this was it was one of the worst periods for Muslims living in non-Muslim countries. And then in 1989, there was a book called Satanic Verses, written by a Muslim who knew, because he came from a Muslim family, he knew the reaction in the Muslim world amongst the Muslims if he insulted or mocked or ridiculed our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. But what happened after 1989 was, rather than again the Muslim world coming up with an intellectual narrative, trying to explain to them that why do we feel, why are we so hurt when our Holy Prophet is ridiculed? Why does it hurt us so much? Living in and knowing the Western societies, I knew why they couldn't understand, because they do not treat religion like we do. Jesus Christ is not treated the way we in the West, the way we treat our Holy Prophet here. So they couldn't understand what was going on. Why were there demonstrations? Why were there death threats to Salman Rushdie? So they kept thinking that the Muslims do not allow freedom of expression. So Muslim world is intolerant. It doesn't allow freedom of expression. They were able to vilify our religion. And yet there was no coherent response from the Muslim world. And therefore, we kept into the cycle. Every few years, there would be some cartoons, insulting cartoons against our Prophet. Every few years, there would be something insulting him. We would respond. There would be some act of extremists. They would not respond. So this Islamophobia, this cycle kept getting worse. And poor Muslims living in Western societies kept suffering. So that's why I'm really pleased that for the first time it has been acknowledged that Islamophobia is a reality and something needs to be done about it. And from now onwards, we hope that we will be able to put forward a narrative that why it hurts us so much. And honorable foreign ministers, let me just say that I only came into politics 25 years ago. I was watching this Islamophobia building up in Western societies. But two, I wanted my country. We were the only country which became independent in the name of Islam. And so, the objective resolution of our founding fathers was to make an Islamic welfare state based on the state of Medina. So I came into politics 25 years ago because that was my goal. And just in this August gathering, let me just say, in the history of mankind, there was never a more just and humane state. Unfortunately, our children don't know about it. Even we in Muslim countries don't know that the modern state our Prophet created. Forget about Western countries or non-Muslims. How would they know about it when we ourselves don't understand that he created a state which laid the foundation of one of the greatest civilizations in human history for the next few hundred years. And that foundation was laid in the state of Medina. So what was that foundation? This is again what most people don't understand. And I'm glad that Foreign Minister Wang Yi is here, because I want people to understand what was it that caused this great revolution, one of the greatest revolutions of all times. The state of Medina was one of the greatest revolutions. What was it? Number one, our Prophet was given the title in our holy book, the Quran, as Rahmatul lil Alameen, mercy for mankind, not mercy for Muslims. He came as a mercy for mankind. He came to unite mankind, not divide mankind. Allah for Muslims is Rahmat, Rabbul Alameen, not Rabbul Muslimeen. We do not understand, we Muslims don't understand the great mission our Prophet came in this world for, to unite humanity. The Charter of Medina was signed with Jews, with Christians, with Sabians, and with pagans. All became part of a human community. We don't even realize that in 10 years which the Prophet came to Medina and then he left this world, people think that it was, through conquest and through the sword. Hardly anyone knows that in these 10 years, there were only about 1,200 people who were killed in battles. In these 10 years, 1,200 people died and Islam spread all over Arabia. So it was a revolution of ideas. He created a new system. So the state of Medina, he created the best rule of law. The basis of a civilized society is rule of law. His saying that even if my daughter commits a crime, she will be punished. No one is above law. His saying that many nations before you have been destroyed, where the powerful crooks were exempted, were given immunity, and poor crooks were put into jail. If you look at the world right now, Excellencies, I can tell you, just look at all the poor countries. Look at the countries which have poverty. There will be one thing in common. They cannot catch the white-collar criminals. They only end up putting petty criminals in jail. This is the biggest problem which our Prophet, peace be upon him, predicted almost 1500 years ago. The developing world is poor not because they lack resources, because they cannot put the powerful criminals in jail. There's a fact-eye panel report by Secretary General of the United Nations. According to this report, and this will shock all of you, that every year, $1.6 trillion leave the poor countries and end up in tax havens and in the developed world. $1.6 trillion according to the fact-eye panel report of the UN Secretary General. Just imagine what is going on. Poor countries are being robbed simply because we cannot put the powerful criminals in jail. We cannot bring them under the rule of law. This is what our Prophet predicted. And this was the state of Medina where he set up this system of rule of law, no one above. And two of the first four Khalifas, two of the first four heads of state of Medina ended up in court of law. And one of the most revered and respected figures of Islam, who was the fourth Khalifa, he loses a case against a Jewish citizen because the judge refused to accept the testimony of his son. This was the justice system there, which laid the foundation of this great civilization. So what does it show? Number one, that minorities were equal citizens. They were equal citizens in front of law. There was no discrimination. Secondly, it shows that a common citizen could win a case against the head of state. No one was above law. This is 600 years before the Magna Carta was signed in England, which was the beginning of the democratic struggle of Britain. And it took them years before they could actually bring their head of state under the rule of law. This is what happened in the state of Medina. It was ahead of its time. And then it was the first welfare state in the history of mankind. Compassion, humanity. It was a state which took care of its weak, its orphans, its widows, its poor people. It was the first time pensions were introduced in the state of Medina. They took care of the old people. A compassionate state. A state where they wanted to please the Almighty. How do you please the Almighty Allah? By looking after His human beings, especially the weak. This is what happened in the state of Medina. And today, I feel sad whenever I go to Scandinavia. I see what a welfare state should be in all over the Muslim world. Look at humanity there. Look at the way they look after the weak. In fact, sometimes I'm sad because they look after the animals better than some of us look after our human beings. And remember, He's Rahmatul Alameen, so whoever listened to His message, whichever human community will prosper. It doesn't matter because for all humanity, He brought the message of mercy. If you look at Switzerland, in the rule of law index, Switzerland is 99%. 99%. So with hardly any resources, it is one of the most prosperous countries in the world. So as I said, anyone who goes by the model of Medina will prosper. And then, quest for knowledge. Foreign Minister Wang Yi, you'd be surprised, one of our prophets saying, he said, even if you have to go to China to learn and quest for knowledge, you must go there. Now, first, China at that time was center of knowledge, but it meant even risking your life. Going from, at that time, Arabia to China meant you might not come back. So that was the quest of knowledge. You have to seek knowledge from cradle to grave. He sparked off this great knowledge revolution. For hundreds of years, the top scientists were Muslims because they thought quest for knowledge was a sacred duty. Look at the situation in the Muslim world today. How much do we have a quest for knowledge? And then we get so much, wherever you go, Muslims are, that our women are, we imprison our women have no rights. And sometimes, it almost seemed that the US invaded Afghanistan to liberate their women. There was no other reason except to liberate their women. Somehow our women are in prison. Let me just tell you that it was a revolutionary move by our Prophet that women were given inheritance rights. They were empowered. In Europe, even 100 years ago, the women barely got their inheritance rights. 1,500 years ago, women were given their rights. And no one seems to know this. And sadly, cultural issues are equated to our religion. We cannot explain, sometimes Western people say, they confuse culture with religion. I'm sad to say in Pakistan, we discovered 70% of our women do not get inheritance rights. So we have especially had to pass law to enforce that women must get their inheritance rights. This is 1,500 years later. And no one knows this. Slaves, honorable foreign ministers, nowhere in human history has this happened. That slaves became kings. The Mamluks were slaves who became kings in Egypt. In India, there was slave dynasty, they became kings. Why? Because the Prophet said, treat your slaves as family members. Best to free them, if not, treat them as equal family members. So he was the greatest human being that ever stepped foot. There'll never be a human being like them. Anyone close to the Prophet became leaders. If you read the book, The Arab Conquest, everyone became a leader, whoever was near the Prophet. And our generations don't understand that, and neither have we been able to explain to anyone else. Let's not confuse Muslim imperialism with the 10 years of Prophet in Medina. Let's not confuse that, because that was not what the Prophet preached, where the Muslims went all over the world conquering. It is not what the Prophets, the whole revolution was of ideas. Honorable foreign ministers, one of the ideas of OIC is to protect Islamic values. So now I will say something which is completely different. I believe that Islamic values never have been so much under threat as they are right now. And I bring this to this August assembly because when I became the Prime Minister, I asked the police chief, asked him what the crime chart. I was amazed to note that sex crime, child abuse and rape is the fastest growing crime in this country. So we did further investigation. We discovered that the mobile phone, the sort of pornographic material available on the mobile phone to children, this has never happened in human history. So the material available is causing havoc in our society without us knowing. Parents don't know what's happening when the child goes into his room or something. They don't know what he's watching on his mobile phone. It is very important that this August forum, we should plan how to combat this, because it is already having a huge impact. We have a rise in divorces. We all know that the more vulgarity, the more a society gets permissive, it has a direct impact on the family system. One of the most important things about Islam is that our religion protects the family system. We have values like we respect parents, we have respect for our teachers, but the culture that is coming through social media, we really need to think carefully, how are we going to protect our generations? I have formed in Pakistan a Rahmatul Alameen authority of scholars. The whole purpose is how are we going to give an alternate point of view to our children, cartoons. How do we, because children get influenced from that age onwards. How do we strengthen our children against this unpredictable social media revolution? How do we know where it is going? So I think that I thought at this meeting I should mention, because we need to start thinking about alternate media, how we can compare. You can't stop social media, but we can give our children, fortify them, strengthen them ethically and morally. Now I come to, two important political issues. One is Palestine and the other is Kashmir. Honorable foreign ministers, we have failed both the Palestinians and the people of Kashmir. I'm sad to say that we have been able to make no impact at all. They don't take us seriously. We are a divided house, and those powers know it. We are 1.5 billion people, and yet our voice to stop this blatant injustice is insignificant. We are not talking about conquering some country. We're simply talking about the human rights of the people of Kashmir and Palestine, the international law, which is on their side, United Nations Security Council resolutions that back their right. In Kashmir, the international community promised them the right to decide their own destiny through a plebiscite. That right was never given to them. In fact, the special status of Kashmir was taken away illegally by India on 5th August 2019. Nothing happened because they feel no pressure. They feel we can make a resolution and then, back to our usual business. I'm not talking about altering our foreign policies. All of us countries have our different foreign policies. But on core issues, I'm asking the OIC that unless we have a united front, we will keep these abuses will happen. Like in Palestine, it's daylight robbery going on in Palestine. The only hope I have is now because of social media, first time in Western countries, there's awareness of what's going on to the poor Palestinians. That is so far much more than the OIC. It's the mobile phone and the spread of information of the injustices being done to the Palestinians. That is the best, at the moment, the best way to protect them, not us. In Kashmir, it's a war crime, according to the 4th Geneva Convention, to change the demography of an occupied land. India is changing the demography of Kashmir by making the Muslims from a majority to a minority, by bringing in settlers from outside. This is a war crime. Yet no one is pushed about it. Neither India is pushed nor Israel, because they think we are ineffective. So, honorable foreign ministers, let me just say that the way the world is headed, I'm afraid it's headed the wrong way. There's a Cold War almost started. There is a chance of world being divided into blocks. We 1.5 billion people, unless we are united, unless we take a united stand, we'll be nowhere. As what I'm scared to say where the future is headed right now. Before I come to Ukraine, I just want to talk about Afghanistan. It is extremely important that we stabilize Afghanistan. After 40 years, and no nation has suffered as the people of Afghanistan. 40 years of conflict. Finally, there is no conflict going on. The only danger now to Afghanistan is that through the sanctions and non-recognition, they might end up having a humanitarian crisis. Already the people are falling below the poverty line. Already there's a brain drain going on. So it's extremely important that we help the people of Afghanistan. And I say this because a stable Afghanistan is the only way, I repeat, it's the only way we are going to be able to stop international terrorism from Afghan soil. No other country is going to be able to do it. Let's not be delusional that some other country will come in and sort of through drones or something fight terrorism. It's not going to happen. The only hope is a stable Afghanistan government that can take care of international terrorism. I want to add a word of caution. Anyone who knows the Afghan character should be cautioned that please do not push the people of Afghanistan to do things where they feel that their sovereignty is being threatened. They are very proud, independent-minded people. They have always fought for their sovereignty for hundreds of years. They do not like the idea that someone is dictating to them. So I would caution that let's help them, let's encourage them, let's get them involved in the international community. And I believe that the people of Afghanistan are strong enough to evolve and go in the right direction. But please let's remember that the Afghan character does not like outside interference. And finally, I come to Ukraine. I'm, like I think everyone here and the rest of the world, we're all worried about what's going on there. May I suggest that the OIC, during its discussions, the foreign ministers, we should think about how we, represent 1.5 billion people, how we can mediate, how we can bring about a ceasefire, how we can try and put an end to the conflict. I'm going to meet His Excellency Wang Yi after this, and I want to discuss how maybe OIC, along with China, how we can all step in and try to stop this conflict, which is going to have, if it keeps going the way it is, it will have great consequences for the rest of the world. I have already, as the head of the government here, I can tell you that we are already suffering. Oil prices have gone up, gas prices have shot up, wheat prices have gone up because of this war. And if this keeps continuing, this is only going to get worse. So therefore, we should, all the countries which are non-partisan, we are in a special position to be able to influence this conflict. So as I said, I would want the foreign minister, Shah Mahmood Qureshi, please discuss with the other foreign ministers, and I will discuss with His Excellency, the Chinese foreign minister, how we can all, as a bloc, OIC and China, how we can influence the events in Ukraine and stop this and have some ceasefire and resolve this conflict. Lastly, honorable foreign ministers, let me again say what a pleasure it was to welcome you to my beautiful country. I want to end by saying, again, I repeat that the world is moving in a direction which is sadly worrisome for all of us. In bloc politics, in Cold War, and let's just 1.5 billion people we keep underestimating the strength we have. Somehow we lack self-belief. As a sportsman, I can tell you that a team that has self-belief will defeat a team that is far more talented but doesn't have self-belief. We don't have self-belief. We somehow look to others to help us and get justice. But as where the world is headed, it is extremely important that we get united and on certain core issues take a stand. And let's not be dragged into this, into blocks, into the conflicts. We should stay as a bloc and show our power in bringing about peace rather than becoming part of some conflict. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for gracing the session and enlightening us with your words of wisdom. I'm confident that your thought-provoking address will guide the deliberations of this 48th session for the next 2 days. Excellencies, we take a break for lunch and prayers. Since the inaugural session took much more time than expected, we will now reconvene at 3:15. The next segment would be off camera, open only to the members and observer states.
Delegates, I would request you to please remain seated while the heads of delegation proceed to the lunch. The heads of delegation will be guided by their liaison officer or the usherers. Please also note that the lunch for delegates will be served in the garden outside the Parliament. Delegates will be guided by their respective ushers.